We got 7 o'clock. I'm going to call a meeting to order. Does anyone have any written disclosure of pecuniary conflict of interest? Sandy?
No, I don't.
Dan?
No.
Heather?
No.
And Dean?
No.
I guess I should have took the attendance first, but we'll go through that now. Sandy's here, correct?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Heather?
Present.
And Dean?
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is petitions and delegations. We don't have any of those this evening. So our next item on the agenda, number 4, is reports from municipal officers. So our first report tonight will be from Chris Wally, our road superintendent.
Good evening.
Hi.
Okay, so you have my written report there. Do you want to go through it line by line or paragraph by paragraph, or do you have any questions, or what would you like me to do?
Might as well go through it.
Okay, and number 1 was an email response that was sent to a resident in regards to a complaint saying the roads department is encroaching on private property. And I believe you guys have a copy of the response letter. And you have any comment on that?
Heather?
Yes. Was she satisfied with the response?
We haven't heard back, so I'm hoping so.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay, number 2 is on December the 15th, temperature was minus 16. The brakes froze up on our older truck. We call it 7605. And up in the Brewery area, the air dryer was not working properly and moisture was getting into the brake system. The rear quick release was frozen in the open position and the air would not build up to pressure. So without air pressure, you don't have air brakes. So after 3 hours of working roadside under the truck in the cold, I decided to cage the spring brakes out and to drive it back to the municipal garage. We ordered in a new dryer, and we also changed the D2 governor. The D2 governor is what controls the kick in and kick off pressure of the compressor that builds up the pressure. And it was only like $60 or something like that for that part. The air dryer was in around the $700 range. So after we put the new parts on, installed, and the quick release valve thawed out, the brakes were working again. So that the brake system is very tricky. It needs to have dry air. If moisture gets into anything, it can cause you lots of problems. And with the quick release valve on the back of the truck, whenever you take your foot off the brake, it discharges the air and allows the brakes to release. So that was frozen in the open position. So air was just bypassing right through there. And the only way to get it thawed out was to get it back to the garage and get it inside. So we managed to do that, being very careful with it. On the next day, on Wednesday, December the 16th, the clutch fan failed and was causing the truck to run hot again. And again, the clutch fan is very subject to moisture in the air, causing it not to work properly. It was also, if you picture a clutch, it's like a fiber disc that drives the clutch. And it takes air pressure to engage that clutch. And with the oil leaks we had on the truck in the past and the constant kicking in and out of the fan, it wore that clutch out. So we had to replace the clutch fan on the truck. And it's not a big job, but again, it adds up to the truck repair and maintenance. So it's running properly now and cooling the engine properly. While test driving the number 4, while test driving 7605, I noticed that the rear engine mounts were loose. So you could actually feel the transmission or the gear shift shifting sideways when you let the clutch out. So on the back of the transmission, there's 2 rubber bolts, 2 rubber mounts, and we ground down the metal spacer in between those rubber mounts to retighten the mounts. So by doing that, I was able to squash it down onto the rubber mounts again, and the engine seems secure now. Number 5, December the 20th at 8 p.m., I received a call from a resident that a transport load of hay was stuck on Adams Road on the River Hill. Apparently the driver was not familiar with this area and wasn't expecting to build a big hill like that. Not knowing the road and it being dark at the time, he didn't make the hill. The truck ended up jackknifed backwards into the ditch, and we had sanded the road, all the roads throughout the municipality that morning between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m., which included the River Hill. There was a light snow during the day with periods of rain and freezing drizzle. So I put the 4 tire chains on 7615, which is the newer truck, and I had a full load of sand on. And I went to resand the River Hill and assess the situation. The road was completely blocked off by the truck, and the truck was in a dangerous position partway down the hill. The options were to close the road for the night and wait for a tow truck, and this would have meant notifying the police, fire, and ambulance, and also barricading the road and putting up signs and amber flashing lights, etc. So I talked to the driver and decided that I would give him a pull with the municipal truck. And with the tire chains on and a full load of sand, it was fairly easy to pull them out and up to the top of the hill. So the road was open again by 11 p.m. and the trucker was very thankful to the municipality and he was on his way. So normally we wouldn't pull anybody, but in a situation like that, it was either stay there all night and take the manpower to barricade and close the road for the night, or simply just give him a pull and get him on his way. So I chose to do that, and it worked out the better for everybody. So on Thursday, December, or do you have any questions on that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Number 6, on Thursday, December the 24th, I received a call at 2:04 p.m. from our emergency hotline. And someone had called in saying Peddlers West and Mount Pleasant was very slushy. Temperature was +4, and there was a light rain. So I dispatched both trucks out to plow any slush off the roads that we could. We had to go very slow due to the risk of the front plows digging into the soft road surface. We were able to plow a lot of wet snow and slush off the roads as the packed snow and ice was breaking up. My plow did dig in to Ingolson Road, and it was lucky that I was going very slow. It ended up breaking the bolts off the front plow cutting edge, but no further damage. I used 2 chains just to pick the cutting edge up on the front of the plow and carried it back to the township garage, where we installed the same cutting edge with new bolts and checked over the front plow again. No additional damage, and 7615 is back in service shortly after that. So it just goes to show, like, in the middle of January or the middle of wintertime, the roads are still very soft in places. And that front plow dug in about 8 inches into the gravel section of the road. Gave me quite a surprise. So it's very important to take your time. Slow and steady wins the race, sort of thing. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. On Monday, January the 5th, I scraped the ice and the snow off the Wally Bridge. Shortly after, I received a complaint at the municipal office demanding that the snowbanks in the front of the driveway at the northwest end of the bridge be removed. So by that time I was at home, and I decided, because of all the controversy over the bridge and the fire truck ramp and the swimming hole and all that, that I would go back up, and I used the backhoe to knock the snowbank down and push it off the road out of the way. And apparently it was because the dog sleds had a hard time getting over the snowbank. So to kind of keep the peace, I felt it was necessary to go back up and take care of that, push the snow down into the fire truck ramp. Cleaned out the fire truck ramp while I was there and pushed the snow out from the end of the guardrails at the delineators marking the 4 corners of the bridge. They probably could have waited till the morning, but they had something going on with the dog sled that night that I was unaware of. So that's pretty well it. Unless you have questions on it.
Sandy, any questions?
I do, but not anything in particular to what Chris has just reported to. Thank you for going out and taking care of that after you had already gone home. I had a couple of calls regarding the roads through Christmas time. It was very slushy. The boundary road was very difficult to drive down at one point. I was curious to know what causes the washboard effect when you come around from Boundary up to Peddlers. I'm really curious about that because it is very, it's hard on the vehicle, obviously, but the driving, it can, if somebody took that too fast, it's like going over, all I can describe it as a washboard. What causes that?
Well, it's usually the traffic that causes the washboard. If you notice on one side of the road going down, it usually ends up being very slick, and we sand it. And that hard, but it ends up being fairly slick from braking, I guess. And then on the other side of the road, it's from the cars accelerating to go up the hill. And with the snow being kind of wet and freezing at night and thawing during the day, it freezes into a washboard. We try to do the best we can to cut that off. And I have been using the ice blades on the grader, but you don't want to press down too heavy on the ice blades because you cut the pavement, and then you got to put enough weight on it that you're going to cut the washboard off. The mild temperatures and the snow is very hard sometimes to get all of the snow off the road with a straight cut blade like what's on the snowplow. So it's basically, it was snowing around Christmas time. It was snowing a little bit every day, getting cold at night, and then mild during the day. So you'd end up with ice in the morning and then slush in the afternoons.
Okay. So it's caused by the, yeah, okay. My main question was, is it caused by the vehicles or is it caused by the blade being too close? This is my own question I have because I'm not aware. and you basically, you answered it. So thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, but we did take the ice blades off the grader and put the straight cut blades back on. The problem with that is you create a very smooth, hard pack surface where the ice blades create a rougher surface, and it allows the sand to kind of get in the little grooves and stick better. But when it's hot and cold, like cold at night, freezing, -5, -6, and then +5 during the day, it doesn't last, if you know what I mean. Like if it stays cold, -15, and you grade the road or ice blade the road, it stays smooth. But the sun plays havoc with it, especially on the paved road.
Anything further, Sandy?
No, that was it.
Any questions, Dan?
No, it's not like had an eventful month. No questions.
Anything from you, Heather?
Well, thank you, Chris. You've certainly gone above and beyond this month. Holy doodle, with towing and plowing and all times of the day and night. Thank you very much. Over and above. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dean Maxwell, Fire Chief. Are you there, Dean?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm clear. So I'm just going to go over, we had one fire call in the month of December. So at 10:10, we got called out to Columbia Forest Products. They had a fire which was caused by a down hydro line that got pulled down. We showed up on scene. What ended up happening was they had a chipper in, a company come in and do some chipping. And when they went to move the chipper, it had a conveyor belt on it, which caught the main power line, which feeds Columbia, which turned out to be quite a problem because they called it a Super 44. It's 44,000 volts. So you actually have to go shut it down way on the other side of Corbeil, that main transformer in Corbeil. And we lost power all through Calvin. It's the main power line that feeds whole grid. I didn't realize that took that much power. So it's a little information for us if we ever do need to shut the power down. It takes them 45 minutes to get on scene, and then it took them another 45 minutes to shut it down because it is such a large power line that they have to isolate it on the mill side and then on the east and west side as well. So it took 2 crews 45 minutes to do that. What ended up happening is the wires end up falling down on the butt end piles, and it caught the pile on fire. There's no real emergency, but they didn't want it. They were on shutdown, and they're on minimum staff right now, so they just didn't want have any issues over the holidays. We were able to put it out once it was depowered and safe for us to work. It took under 500 gallons to put it out, so it was a pretty easy call for us, but they were happy we were there. For meetings, we did on December 3rd, we did just do truck checks and washed our vehicles, just did some maintenance inside the fire hall that night. On December 10th, we reviewed our strut kit, and then we actually have a car up at our training site on landfill, and we went up there with the guys and we went over our strut kit, did it there on scene, and got to work with some of the younger guys and show them the rundown on how those work. We don't use them lots, but when we do use them, they're very valuable to us to make it safe for us to work on the vehicles through ROX. On December 17th, we reviewed our winter chains, and I had Chris go over with the guys how to put we have ice changes so everybody knows. So if we ever do get an ice storm like in the 90s, we're able to get around. So we have chains for all our vehicles. So I had Chris go over on how to install the chains onto our trucks. Just because with the crazy weather we're getting, our weather's up and down, you never know. And then we had the chains, we make sure our chains are on the trucks and we have the proper chains on each truck. for the rest of the meetings, we're over the holidays, and because of the COVID and all the stuff, I haven't been having any meetings. I've shut the meetings down. I see Doug Ford has put some restrictions again to 5 guys, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that. I'm kind of feeling around to see what everybody else is doing, but we're still working on that. So from the Chiefs report, I just had our BAs flow tested this week. Every year we're mandated to have our BAs flow tested. So I've been using SPI, but we actually use TransCanada Safety. They have a Draeger trained technician now. He came down and he did the flow testing on our units. The service was excellent, really great actually. We've been having problems with the Panasonic batteries actually leaking and damaging some of our heads-up display inside of our trigger mask. Last year that cost us $700. SPI didn't want to cover that. We had one battery. Since then I've changed over to Duracell batteries just because I don't really like that brand. And he kind of admitted, yeah, it is kind of a crappy brand, but that's one Draeger recommends. But I had another battery leak and it actually wrecked one of my heads-up units. So the guy that does it, Paul, he gets test units all the time. So he actually gave us his test unit to have, and he said, don't worry about it. So that's a big expense to us. That one heads-up unit's worth $350. He also received some batteries from French River. Got a load of Duracell batteries, and they passed them on to us, so we didn't have to pay for no batteries at this time as well. So that's right there is about over $80 just in batteries that we saved right there. And he replaced a few strip screws that happened from SPI and stuff. So like I said, the service was great. We got it done for the 2021. So our VAs are all good this year, so we just have to move through the year. On December the 5th and 6th, we've had eight firefighters redo their first aid. So every 3 years, we get to renew it, and then 3 years after, we have to redo the whole course over again. So it's a 2-day course. It's actually quite a bit, especially when myself, I've done it 10 times now, over 24 years span probably. It's pretty well the same stuff all the time, but it's nice to have a refresher. We had Renee Knight do the training on that, and Renee did a good job on that course. You guys said he did a great job, so that was nice that he did that, and Renee did that, gave us a good deal on it as well. On December 7th, we had the Calvin's Women's Association. They've finally got they made 2 nice totes for families who ever lose their house. We have a relief tote here, and in the tote is just personal stuff that, like shampoo, towels, toothbrushes, just stuff they can use. They have a whole system set up, so we have 2 totes here at the fire hall, and so if it's late at night, we can give them to the homeowners, and then we'll have contact with the women's group, and they can come during the day. They have stuff for them as well, just gift certificates or whatever, and some other stuff that they put together. So kudos to them. It's something, it's nice to see stuff like that in our community, especially when people lose their houses. It's little things like that you remember. So I think that's something that's nice to see in our community, and hopefully we don't have to use it, but when we do, it's nice to have it here. So for PT2, I've been talking to Bob Locke at Fort Garry. We kind of been putting off repainting it. I just heard back today, so it's still going forward. It's going to Sudbury Truck and Trailer. It's going on February 8th. It's leaving Monday, and they're going to have it done. It'll be back in Calvin that Friday on February 12th. They will be coming to pick it up. All I have to do is drain the pumps and take all the gear off it, and we'll be getting the spots fixed that they tried last time. So hopefully this time around, I personally talked to the guy, the Sudbury Truck Trailer. He's actually the owner, Walter. He's got lots of years of experience. He's a 2nd generation business guy there. So I'm hoping that he's going to do a better job this time, and make sure that it's all done nice and finished. The last thing I want to discuss is since in the last little while we've had some COVID cases in the area that's come to my attention. I just had a discussion with Neil, just so I want to just make council aware if for some reason, and I'm just making arrangements because I kind of feel like we're getting spiked in this area. I've made arrangements and Neil's doing the same thing tonight. It's not all done and go, but what will happen if we end up getting COVID in the Cal Fire Department, Papineau is going to cover us for 14 days that they have to quarantine, and we're going to do vice versa, and we'll do it just like our automatic gate system. So they got our backs and we got their backs, so hopefully we don't have to use it, but that's kind of the agreement that we're going to work on right now. Neil's going to run that by his council tonight, and if they require something to be written up, we're going to take care of that, and we'll get to you at the next meeting or whatever we need to do. That being said, I just kind of wanted to show the summary sheets for the firefighters for the 2020 with us. We've had a pretty slow year overall, but we've also had meetings canceled because of COVID and stuff. But we still had like lots of guys come out and good attendance, and we've had fairly few like good calls all year long. So I just kind of wanted to show like most meetings. Liam Maxwell got most meetings, 41 meetings. And we have most hours, which was Liam again. So it just shows his attendance actually shows up. He's got 138 hours. And we actually had 8 firefighters with over 100 hours. So it just goes to show the good group of guys we have here and their commitment to the community. And I think it's just nice to see that, you know, and the council realizes we do have good guys here. And I know you don't, and anyway. Bill Morton had most calls, 17 calls. So that's quite a few calls. We averaged, I don't have a number, I forget how many it was, but anyway, that's, he had the most calls for that year. So, and that's pretty well all we have that I have to report for the month of December. Any questions on that or?
Sandy?
No, thank you.
Dan?
No questions.
Heather?
Thank you for staying with the fire truck. I really appreciate you want a perfect fire truck that we paid for, and you have really gone over and beyond to make sure that we have a good protection for our fire truck that we paid really good money for. So thank you, Dean, for that.
Yeah. Bob Locke is was their sales guy, and he's been really adamant. Like he's given us pretty good service. He's trying to make it up to us, and I got to commend him on that because I know he's went through some health issues. That's why we're having problems in the previous, but he arranged all this previously. So it's good that Fort Garry is taking care of it because I honestly like they are one of the best fire truck building companies in Canada right now. I price trucks and they have been the most competitive too as well. So if later on, maybe in the future when we consider a pumper, you know, I'd like to purchase it there too if everything works out good here in the end. But we'll deal with that at a later date.
Any questions, Dean?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. In regard to helping out Papineau and them helping out us, is our mutual aid agreement enough to do that? We don't need to pass something?
Yeah, so it's automatic aid. That's our agreement that we do with them. So we have a mutual aid agreement and automatic aid agreement. They're actually two different things.
Okay.
Mutual aid agreement is the whole district and area, which we can pull from if we need to. But the automatic aid thing it's just way more simpler and way more easier. We work with Papineau and they work with us, so our relationship allows us to come in and out of each other's township. And this is a good instance where it's beneficial to us, you know, to have somebody come in and take care of our stuff because we know they're well trained too. So and they have similar training to us because we do training together. We work on fire scenes together. So, you know, I think in this kind of situation, it sure is nice to have neighbors like that. And hopefully we don't have to do it though. Honestly, like we're taking every precaution, you know. So.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Jacob Grove, Recreation, Landfill, and Cemetery.
Hi. So a couple things I'd like to touch on out of the report was on New Year's Eve. I received an after-hours call for the rink lights not working. That happened because the rink building is not hooked up to the generator system. So whenever we have a power outage, the timer just stops. So if the power is out for 2 hours, like it was, I'm guessing the 22nd with the Columbia call, that's what probably caused the rink timer to be off. So it is something that if we ever notice a power outage when we're in a situation like that where some staff is on holidays, I'd encourage even council to give a call just to make sure that we're aware there was a power outage and we can correct that problem as soon as possible. And the other big thing to touch on is on January 4th, when we were cleaning the rinks, we had the snowblower break down. A puck jammed in the auger and sheared off the shaft for the auger drives. I have sent it out for servicing. I contacted them today because they've been so busy with other stuff. It sounded like mostly snowmobilers over the COVID stuff. They haven't had a chance to look at the snowblower yet. We did look to see what parts would cost for on the Husqvarna website to get an idea. We're estimating by what we've seen that it's going to be somewhere between $500 and $1,000 for the parts plus labor. That will change once they actually look at it and are able to tell us exactly what we need to replace on it. We have also looked at some snowblower pricing. So to get a snowblower that's a bit more heavy duty than the one that we've been using, you're looking at between $3,000 and $4,000 depending on the brand and the features that you're looking at. And to get something similar to what we have, you'd be looking at around $2,000 depending on the brand and the features on it. Over the course of the week from the 4th to the 8th, we spent quite a bit of time fixing up the rink. Unfortunately, we did have to close it down during that time because of unsafe conditions. What appeared to have happened was with the mild weather, the ice started to thaw from the ground up, and we were having issues with the ice surface sort of floating on that, and we were trying to get that solid, like to freeze solid again so that would be safe. During that time with the mild weather, we took advantage of trying to melt down some of the rough high ridges that were created by the snow being left on it or shoveled partway off of the rink. We were able to get it fixed up fairly good. It's not 100%. I'd like to see it smoother, but we do need some colder weather to be able to flood it to finish off the last little bit of it. So I'm hopeful that next week the forecast is looking more favorable for that sort of flooding. That's all the things I have to touch on from my report. Are there any questions from council?
Anything from you, Sandy?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The snow blower, is it used for other things besides the ice rink?
We do use the snow blower, some for clearing snow around the doors and around the generator.
Okay. I also had the lawnmower. Does it have an attachment to it? The new lawnmower that we bought?
Yeah, I believe both the zero turn and the what we call the big husky, the larger of the two tractor style huskies, would be able to have attachments on it.
Okay, so it's like a PTO system type thing.
No, it would be like belt driven off the clutch.
Belt driven. Okay,
If you're thinking of
Okay.
like the snowblower style attachments.
yeah. Okay, that's all I'm asking. Okay, thanks.
Dan, do you have any questions?
Yeah. It was great to see that the ice was installed early this year, and it looked really good. That was really nice to see that. And I think it's important that we have that in good condition throughout the Christmas break when the kids are off from school, and they're able to use it. Especially with COVID right now, there's a higher demand for parents looking to do outdoor activities, because it's one of the things that they're recommending to do with kids is to be outside. But it seems like this is the third year in a row now that we've had problems at the Christmas season with the rink maintenance, and I'd like to really put some thought into things that we can do to improve it so that we don't run into the same situation for the fourth year next year again. We've been doing a lot of work on the rink. We've got the line. We purchased the liners that would be easier to install the ice. That seems to be working well, and we have set up the rink policy so that we have systems in place, so trying to solve the problems that we run into. But the fact that it was left for 8 days unshoveled and then partly shoveled, and then that snow created farther damage, which created a lot of extra work for our staff to have to work 5 days just to clear that snow out of there using the backhoe and a lot of extra effort. It's there's a problem here that we have to address, and I'm not sure the answers to it, but part of the thing is that there doesn't seem to be anybody around through the 10 days that between Christmas and after New Year's to the 4th or so. And I think part of it is that I think both of our staff members are on holidays, are on vacation time at that. They're using their vacation time, so they're both off at the same time. I think that's probably not a good idea to have them both off at the same time, that perhaps one of them should be around to make sure that if there's any problems there, it can be resolved quickly and not have to be left for 8 days where it creates a bigger problem and it's like practically wrecked the rink for like a long time. And relying on a volunteer to do it was kind of not the best idea. And I wish I would have known about that before, knowing that was a decision, because I actually didn't remember that we didn't have, it wasn't rare. I assumed that when we were going into the holidays that we had a student set up to do this work, but I guess in the budget we cut him. But perhaps a reminder that even before we went on Christmas holidays that we were going to need someone to do snow removal, and that we were only going to be relying on a volunteer to do it. It would have been good to know that, because I probably would have suggested some other action to go. So some good communication with council would always help on making things work better and working more as a team together. So that's all I want to say, but I think we need some solutions from the staff on how we can make this work better, especially over that Christmas season. It's nice to see the rinks in, and it's an important time to have it in, but there's an issue there, and we can't, a lot of it is management issue. We have to address that. But I don't have the answer for it, but some of the solutions I have is that the staff not be on holidays at the same time, and to set up a schedule where someone can be there to look after the rink. And it's a bit embarrassing to councillors when people are calling me saying the rink's a mess again. It's like, I was hoping I wasn't going to get that call this year again, but it seems to happen 3 years in a row now, and it's not acceptable. That's all I have to say.
So if I may, Councillor Maxwell, is that something you'd like to see brought back into the recreation budget, is some time for a student over the Christmas and winter season when we have the rink to assist with some of the work, to help out with the volunteers and staff as needed?
Possibly.
It's just something, it's something we can include in and we'll talk about during the budget time, but just so I know when I'm preparing numbers that, I can include a little note, this is what it would be to have a student for, 40 hours to assist with the rink.
Yes. It was just left in a bit of a disaster. Even I don't think the snowblower could have blew that bank away. It was about 3 feet of hard packed, slushy, icy snow. The part that was shoveled remained in good skating condition because it was maintained, but the part that wasn't maintained and just buried in snow, the way the snow created a big, well, I'm sure as you've seen, it created a problem, and that's the fact that it was neglected. That was the main problem here.
Yeah, that is. We had tried to put steps in place to prevent something like that from happening. Unfortunately, we didn't realize that snow that was shoveled was not snow. It was actually slush that was shoveled. Had we known that there was slush shoveled, we would have come in on our holidays to deal with the issue right away.
Anything further, Dan?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Heather, any comments?
Yeah, just to further, if we come across that again, I'm just gonna know to be more diligent myself, and I'll go and check out, because I really want us to be successful, and I don't mind checking out things. I don't mind a shovel, or even just to check it out and give a phone call. Because yeah, I think that Jacob and Brendan are very willing to come in on their days off. It showed in the past for the whole cemetery issue. So I'll just be more diligent and check out more frequently. I'm yet to buy a set of skates, but I'll force myself to go. I did. I looked at the ice after that, and it was fantastic. Just a little rough on the sides, but yeah, it's something we need to discuss in the future for sure. That's it.
Anything, Councillor Grant?
I'm going to try and make a general comment here. I think it's important that, we're all working together as a team, council and staff. And, I think that we invested a lot. When we invest in things, particularly, like ice rinks and things, I think that the maintenance that goes along with them is quite important. And we gotta hammer that down a little bit to make sure that we not to go overkill. There's a line of balance there, but that we perform necessary maintenance to avoid future costs. And I think that in the case of the ice rink, there's considerable time spent repairing in the puck, and potentially some of that could have been avoidable with a little bit more proactive maintenance. So I look forward to I hope, Jacob, you can present some solutions to us maybe in the future, some of your ideas on how we might move forward next year and over the remainder of this year, and make sure that we just stay up on that maintenance side of things. Thank you.
You have anything you want to add, Jacob?
No, I have no further comments.
Okay, then thank you very much.
I'd like to say that I'm extremely impressed with how early our rink was in this year, and compared to the other municipalities, I think we've had a lot of people from outside of our municipality skating on our ice rink because they've had nothing else to use. It's unfortunate with what happened, but myself looking at those pictures, I definitely, as one volunteer, wouldn't want to have to tackle that huge mess. So yes, looking at a proactive answer towards it is definitely something we need to discuss.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is report from Shane Conrad, our chief building official. Its written report was in our package. Shows it has 2 permits issued. Total fees collected $509 for a garage and a deck. Not sure where they are, but that's that one. Does anybody have any questions or comments they'd like to make on that one? Sandy?
No, I like the fact that he had everything on the other side of the page with everything for the whole year. all itemized. That was nice to see.
Anything, Dan?
Nothing for me.
Heather?
Nothing for me.
And Dean?
I like the report. I like the information, and I just wonder, if we can maybe expand that report just to see, like, when we do like a year end like this, if we can just see maybe year over year, might be a cool thing too, just to see where we're at, with previous years as well. So just gives us a benchmark on what kind of development it looked like, and I like the breakdown. That is on the back of the report. So we can thank Shane for that, and maybe just a suggestion we could maybe expand that report a little bit. Thank you.
So we could ask Shane if he could provide us a year-over-year report. Is that what you're asking?
I would personally like that, yes. I don't know how other councilors feel, but I think I would like to see that just become an annual thing, just once a year. A summary report, and because I love to, it's very nice to see this year's numbers, but they don't, to me, they're not as significant without comparing them to, let's say, last year's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the year before. Thank you.
I think we could probably make that request, like a spreadsheet or something that shows 1 year to the next. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Would that be something you could ask Shane if he could do for us, Cindy?
Yes, I've made a note of it.
Okay, thank you. So next on the agenda is reports from committees, and we have none of those. Then the next item after that is action letters. First item under there, A, is adopt minutes of Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020. A copy of that was in our council package, and I'm sure everyone had a chance to look through it. So we have a resolution in front of us. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Dean, could you move this one, please?
Sure, thank you. Yes.
Okay. And Dan, could you second it?
Yes, Ken.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Dean, seconded by Dan, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020 be hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any discussion? Sandy?
No discussion.
Dan?
No discussion.
Heather?
No discussion.
And Dean?
No discussion.
Okay, so I need to take a vote to accept this or not. Do you vote yes or no to accept, Sandy?
Yes.
Do you vote yes or no to adopt these minutes, Dan?
Yes.
Heather, yes or no?
Yes.
And Dean, yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you. Excuse me. Next item on the agenda is bylaw number 2021-001. It's a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for the fourth quarter, which is October the 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020. And we have the bylaw in front of us, so I'll need a mover and a seconder. Which one is this? This is the first and second readings, right? So the first reading, I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. So Heather, would you be able to move the first reading?
Yes, I can.
And Sandy, can you move the second one?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we have the first reading of the bylaw, moved by Heather and seconded by Sandy. Being a bylaw confirms the proceedings of council Okay, so is there any discussion on this? Sandy, anything you'd like to offer?
No discussion.
Dan,
No discussion.
Heather,
No discussion.
and Dean?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna call for a vote, to, see if everyone is in agreement to accepting the first reading. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I vote yes as well. So the first reading, moved by Heather, second by Sandy, has been passed. Thank you for that. Next we have the second reading. So I need a mover and a seconder for that. So Sandy, could you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Dean, could you second this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. So the second reading is moved by Sandy, second by Dean. Any discussion on this one? Sandy?
No discussion.
Dan?
No discussion.
Heather?
No discussion.
And Dean?
No discussion.
Okay, so we'll take a vote on this one to confirm that we agree with the second reading. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant, yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So second reading is passed as well. Thank you for that. Next item on the agenda is bylaw number 2021-002. And it's an annual borrowing bylaw, which allows for $100,000 pre-approval in case of the need by the municipality. We do this every year. Okay. So I need a mover and a seconder for the first reading. Dan, can you move this one, please?
Yes.
And Heather, can you second it?
Yes.
Thank you. Excuse me. So we have the first reading moved by Dan, seconded by Heather. Is there any discussion on this? Sandy?
No discussion.
Sorry, I've got the wrong one up here. Hold on one
Oh,
moment.
it's the tax levy. Okay. Thank you.
My apologies. I thought I had them all open here. Oh, it's just the description of this last one.
The description?
There we go.
Okay. So we have this one moved by Dan, second by Heather. So let's start over. Dan, Sandy, do you have any discussion here?
No discussion.
Dan, anything that you'd
No
like to
discussion.
offer?
No.
Okay, Heather?
I'm wondering if $100,000 is appropriate anymore. I'd like to find out from Cindy if she thinks that we should increase it, because I think it's been stagnant at 100,000 for quite some time. And being that our tax base is going up, exponentially each year, except for last year. But next year could hit us pretty hard, that maybe we should apply for 200 instead of 100. I just want to be careful, and I think that we should increase it.
Okay. Have we used this, Cindy?
To my knowledge, it's only been used once, and the reason behind it was there was some kind of project. It was a number of years ago, not during my time. It was a number of years ago. There was a project where we had to pay all of the bills for the project before the funding from the government came in. And essentially it was used to cover things like wages and paying invoices and things like that. That's the only time that I'm aware of where it was used.
Okay.
As soon as the grant money came in from the government, the loan was paid back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I'm
my
wondering
point.
what-
I thought 100 is not enough. So look at how much we spent for that bridge. We were getting a lot of it back, right? Same for the hardtop. That was $400,000. I'm not saying we're going to spend willy-nilly, but I think that we should have something for a cushion in case we need to pay things up front. And $100,000, I don't think really does it justification when we have a $6 million budget.
Mayor Pennell?
Yes.
Can I just say that this information comes directly from the bank.
Oh,
The bank actually pretty much prepares the borrowing bylaw, and it's their estimate, not ours.
Are
So
they
could
aware of
we
our
ask-
budget?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So could we ask to have it increased? Like if we're not going to use it anyway, right? But it would be there for us?
I can ask, absolutely.
Okay. So would it be appropriate to go through the first and second readings tonight? And then after we get a decision from the bank, then do the third reading?
We can, yes. The bank would like, just so council is aware, the bank would like it as soon as possible. But I can, absolutely, I can ask them.
The bank would like what as soon as possible?
A copy of the borrowing bylaw.
Okay, okay. Okay, but if we got that from the bank, that information, and we brought that at our next council meeting as a resolution to do it, we should be able to do it that night, right? And all in the next session?
Correct.
Okay, so I think we're okay with that then. Well, would we, I guess we, this is for 100,000. So do we, double it? And I guess my question is, does the bank have to approve the amount we're borrowing or arranging to borrow?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay, so then we could get, if we were to ask the bank, then they would be able to come back with an amount that we could insert into this table. And if it is, we could have an open resolution that we can put that amount in the resolution so that we can carry it that night?
Well, it would be the same template. If we did
Different
first,
amount.
second reading tonight, I would go back to them, and I'm assuming you would like me to ask for the maximum amount we're able to get.
Yes, please.
And then it would just, the borrowing bylaw would be amended by the bank. They'd send me
Okay.
another copy. I'd bring the amended copy to council at the next council meeting for the third reading.
Okay. Okay, I think that'll be okay with everyone. So then I'm going to call a vote on this one. is everyone in agreement with the borrowing bylaw? And we'll go to the bank to get updated if possible. Councillor Crofts?
Yes, I am.
Councillor Maxwell?
I find that since we don't use it, it's fine the way it is. Since we never use this money, I don't see, sometimes when you ask for more money, the bank charges you more fees. There could be a fees involved. I'm not sure if there is, but I know they love to add on fees to everything you do. And if there's any fees to increase it, I don't see the reason why we need to have it increase if there's no, if we're not expecting use. We know what's coming up in the new year. We have no projects that are going to require some big payouts. So I don't think we have to increase it. But
maybe you can answer that question, Cindy. Is there a fee to have this in place?
There's not a fee for the borrowing bylaw, no, because council is approving it. There isn't a fee to have it in place, no. If we increase it, I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
It's a question I would have to ask them if we went to the maximum amount. I wouldn't think so, but I don't know that for sure, so I would have to ask them.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Olmsted, anything further?
No, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Grant?
I'm willing to move forward and see what you come back with and make a decision for the final reading. I'm not sure that I support the increase. However, I'm not necessarily opposed. I'm going to think about it for the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to call a vote on this reading, the first reading. Councillor Croft, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell?
yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you for that. So second reading, I'll need a mover and a seconder for that as well. So Councillor Olmsted, can you move that one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Maxwell, can you second that one?
Yes, Ken?
Thank you. So this is the second reading of the borrowing bylaw. We've already discussed on the first, but I'll ask for discussion again. Councillor Cross, do you have anything else you'd like to offer?
No discussion.
And Councillor Maxwell, anything further?
No.
Councillor Olmsted?
No.
And Councillor Grant?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call for a vote to accept this reading, please, and this decision. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote yes as well. So the second reading is carried. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is bylaw 2021-003, and it's to provide for interim tax levy, penalty, and interest for 2021. So I'll need a mover and a seconder on this one. Sandy, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Dean, can you second this one, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So first reading is moved by Sandy, seconded by Dean. Any further discussion? Sandy?
I'm wondering, did anybody take advantage of the extended tax when COVID first started? Or did everybody pretty much pay when they needed to pay? Cindy, could you answer that?
There were a few people who took advantage of it, yes. I don't have statistics off the top of my head. I can provide council a report if they would like. But there were a few people. Most people paid March 31st, but there were a few people who took advantage of it.
But have paid since though, right?
Pardon me?
Paid up though, I mean, the extension is finished with, so they came in and paid afterwards.
The extension wasn't until the end of May, and there were a few people, I don't know the exact numbers, but there were a few people who took advantage of the extension to pay their interim taxes till the end of May. Most people paid at the end of March, which is the typical deadline. There were a few people who took advantage of the extension.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Councillor Maxwell, anything you'd like to say?
Just one question on the, one comment on the methods of paying. I like the way you have all those different methods of paying, like e-transfer, bank deposit, online banking. I noticed we do credit card though as well, and how much are we paying for the interest for the fee on the credit card transaction? Are we paying 3% on that? You know, Cindy? And if we are paying a high percentage on that, I don't think we should be offering credit card payment. For paying big bills like that, it can be quite costly to the township. If someone's paying
Do you know what that charge is, Cindy?
The charge is 3%, but it's charged to the person who's using the service. We don't pay it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. No other questions.
That makes sense, Dan?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted, anything you'd like to ask or say?
So do we renew this bylaw every year? So next we'll do it for 2022, but everything else basically stays the same?
Yes, it's renewed every year.
Okay, that's all.
Councillor Grant, anything you'd like to offer?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to call for a vote on whether to accept the first reading. Councillor Cross, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
Thank you all. We have the second reading up next. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for that.
Mayor Pennell, what was your vote?
Oh, yes, sorry. I have a buzzer or something, right? The electric shock. I vote yes. Thank you. So this first reading is carried. So for the second reading, I need a mover. Councillor Cross, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Olmsted, could you second it?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So the second reading is moved by Councillor Cross, and it's moved by Councillor Cross, second by Councillor Olmsted. So any further discussion on this, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Maxwell?
No discussion.
Councillor Olmsted?
No discussion.
And Councillor Grant?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote, whether we accept the second reading or not. Councillor Cross, do you vote to accept the second reading?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So the second reading is carried. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so next item on the agenda is a resolution to confirm no identified contaminated sites. So it's number E, it's liability for contaminated sites. Okay. So I need a mover and a seconder for this as well. Councillor Grant, could you move this one, please?
Yes, I will.
And Councillor Maxwell, could you second this one, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a, excuse me, a resolution moved by Councillor Grant and seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Basically that, okay, I can read it. That is April the 1st, 2014, the accounting standards to be applied to municipalities for preparation of their financial statements must include a new section under section PS 3260 of the liability for contaminated sites to recognize liability for contaminated sites, and that further in November 2014, the clerk treasurer met with the staff and council to discuss and identify any known potential contaminated sites within the municipality of Calvin, and further that in support of 2015-2016 year ends, at the February council meeting of those subsequent years, the contaminated site question was revisited and resolutions passed confirming the absence of potentially contaminated sites. And further that in support of the 2017 year end, this was again added as an agenda item for the January 2018 council meeting. And resolution passed confirming the absence of potentially contaminated sites. And further that in support of the 2018 year, this was added as an agenda item on November 27, 2018 council meeting, and resolution passed confirming the absence of potentially contaminated sites. And further that in support of the 2019 year, this was again added as an agenda item for the January 14, 2020 council meeting, and resolution passed confirming the absence of potentially contaminated sites. And further that in support of the 2020 year, this was again added to as an agenda item for the January 12, 2021 council meeting, and resolution passed confirming the absence of potentially contaminated sites. And further that no potentially contaminated sites have been identified since 2014. To date, no contaminated sites have been identified. Therefore, no further action is currently planned or required. So we had a mover and a seconder for that. Any discussion on that? Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell?
No discussion, but it's getting long. If 10 years from now, it's going to be 2 pages long.
Yeah.
I think we could just summarize those last 5 paragraphs into one. Just say from years 2015 to present. No,
Yeah, 7 years now, eh? So, okay, that's a good idea. I don't know if we can do that or not, but it would definitely be a good idea. Councillor Olmsted?
That's exactly what I thought. If we're done with it, let's just be done with it. If not, let's just summarize it. That's
Okay.
all.
Councillor Grant?
Oh, good points. Thank you.
So, Cindy, can we do that?
Next year.
We can. Do you want to do it this year? If so, then the resolution will have to be deferred to the next council meeting. If
No,
not,
I think we'd go
make it
through,
vote.
we're through this one now, at least in my opinion. But next year when it comes back, we'll just do a summary of 2014 to 2000 and maybe 21, and then next year we'd add a new item, right? And then going forward, it'd be 2014 to the preceding year, and then add an item for the current year. I think that's how everybody wanted it. So I'm going to call this for a vote, please. Is everyone, Sandy, are you in agreement to receive this as it is?
Yes, I am.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you very much, guys. This is next item on the agenda is bylaw 2020-024. It is to adopt a formal complaints policy. We've already had first and second reading. We've discussed this a couple times, a few actually. So there was concern about chapter 11 or paragraph 11. And I think that was taken out. I'll have to have a mover and a seconder so we can discuss it. Okay, so can I get Dan, can you move this one, please?
Yes.
Okay, and Dean, can you second it, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. This is a bylaw to adopt a policy for a process of receiving and responding to formal public complaints regarding administrative actions and functions of the municipality. So any discussion? Sandy?
Actually, yes. I read it over again, and there was one part that was bothering me that I felt that it should be put back in. The anonymous complaints. In my opinion, making a formal complaint and accepting an anonymous complaint makes no sense to me. How do we give feedback? How do we verify information? It makes sense on receiving anonymous complaints for an informal complaint, like potholes or snow removal not being done or something. But for a formal complaint, accepting an anonymous complaint, I don't know how we're supposed to find more information or get in contact, or I don't think that should be taken out. But the rest of it, I was fine.
Okay. You're saying you don't think it should be taken out?
Yeah, we took out the part where it says criticisms or anonymous complaints unless it involves the urgent health or the safety issue. It was removed, and I think it should be in there.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense for, it makes sense for a formal one, but for a formal one, how are you supposed to get the information, or how if somebody's going to make the complaint, how are you supposed to call them back and say we dealt with it if you don't know who it is?
Okay. Councillor, anything else, Sandy?
No, that was it.
Okay. Councillor Maxwell?
No, it was a good point Sandy made. I don't have nothing else to add. I've noticed though that when people have a complaint, they go to the counselor to complain. That's really, people seem to end up instead of calling their counselor that they know. But I'm okay with the policy the way it is.
Okay. Anything further, Dan?
And nothing else.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted?
I'm great with the way the policy is, and the reason why I think our discussion is that when people wanted to make a complaint and they were afraid to be confrontational, then they didn't have to be, and I think that's why we took it out, so we could have full transparency, and it doesn't matter if we have to answer to them in person. They don't care to. They just don't want to come forward personally for whatever reason. I want to know about it, so I'm fine with the paper the way it is.
All right. Councillor Grant?
I supported it the way it is. I think that it's quite general the way it is. I like it. If anybody submits an anonymous complaint, I hope they don't expect a response because they didn't put their name on it. So I think that generally they would not expect a response. I support it the way it is. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to call for a vote on the third reading on this. Councillor Cross, do you vote to accept it or not? yes or no?
I'll accept it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maxwell,
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted,
Yes.
and Councillor Grant.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. So it's anonymous. Third reading is passed. So the bylaw is passed. Thank you very much. Took a long time, but we got it done.
Yes.
Thank you for everyone for that. Okay, next item on the agenda is Municipality of Calvin Administration, item G. It's a resolution of support for extending turnaround times for grant applications. We had a little bit of a discussion in our last meeting for this, okay? So I'll need a mover and a seconder to bring this ahead for a vote. Councillor Olmsted, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, could you second this one, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Olmsted, second by Councillor Cross. Whereas there are numerous announcements of available federal and provincial grants for municipalities, and whereas the Corporation Municipal of Calvin is very appreciative of the opportunity to apply for these grants. However, the turnaround time for these applications is very short and restricted for small municipalities with few employees. Now therefore, the Council of Corporation Municipality of Calvin respectfully requests that the application deadlines on any future grant opportunities have longer turnaround times, and further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, and the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and the Corporation of the Township of Matachewan, because that's where it came from first. Any further discussion on this one? Councillor Cross, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maxwell.
No discussion?
Councillor Olmsted.
No discussion.
Councillor Grant.
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote on this one. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no to accept this resolution?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is, again, from Administration Municipality. It's a resolution of support for the financing of the Castle Home redevelopment project. So I need a mover and a seconder on this one. I don't know how I do this. Councillor Maxwell, can you move this one, please?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant, could you second this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Maxwell and seconded by Councillor Grant. And it's fairly lengthy, but the last part of it, everybody's had a chance to read it, so I'm going to go be hereby be resolved on the next page. No, I'll read the whole thing because it's important. It's a lot of money for us, all right? Whereas the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin received a report redevelopment update from municipalities November 30th, 2020 from Castle Home on December the 10th, 2020. And whereas the said report recommends that each member municipality of Castle Home confirms their preferred method of financing for the redevelopment project from two presented financing options. The first option was Castle Home will obtain financing through Infrastructure Ontario's corporate loan program, levy member municipalities annually for their share of the capital cost, and requires member municipalities to guarantee their share of the entire project value. And option two, that member municipalities may pay upfront in cash or obtain their own financing and provide the funds to Castleholm on completion of the project, and requires member municipalities to guarantee their share of the project. And whereas upon review of the financing options being recommended by Castleholm and the request from member municipalities to guarantee Castleholm's loan, the Council of the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin deems that the financing options being recommended are not in line with the understanding that there was to be a request for legislative changes to allow Castleholm Board of Management to borrow the necessary funds on its own to complete the redevelopment project and repay the debt using the combination of capital subsidy payments by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care, as well as the revenue from operations and the annual levy to the municipalities in operation. And whereas Council of Municipality of Calvin requests that prior to approval of the redevelopment project, the following information, all of which remains outstanding, be provided by the Castleholm Board of Management to member municipalities: a comprehensive business case, a final architectural design, a current cost estimate, a detailed financial plan which shall include the interest rate, payment schedule, or the lump sum payment options for each of the municipalities involved, and confirmation that the province will advance the funds up front for the redevelopment of the Castleholm. Be it hereby resolved that the Council of Municipality of Calvin will support the development of Castleholm but rejects the proposed financial options being recommended by Castleholm and seeks new financial options that are in line with the original outstanding that the Castleholm Board of Management borrow the necessary funds on its own to complete the redevelopment project, and excludes member municipalities assuming Castleholm's long-term debt and or providing municipal guarantees of any form. And further, that a clear outline of the exit strategy of the municipalities of Calvin and Matawan and the township of Papua-Cameron and township of Mattawa to transition of offensively required levies to the Algonquin nursing home be provided. And further, that Castleholm provides member municipalities with the said outstanding information, and further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to all Castleholm member municipalities. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder on this. Any discussion? Councillor Cross.
No discussion, and it's right there. Yep, that's what we need to know.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yeah, no discussion. It's important, but I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted?
I support this letter and everything in it, except for be it resolved. It says we're going to support Castleholm. I don't want to put that sentence in because basically, if we say that, then it's just implied that we're going to take anything they're going to feed us. There isn't a point to sending this letter if we're saying we're going to support their decision, because they already went back on us before. So if we just take out a couple of those sentences, other than that, it's perfect. Because without the support, I don't think we should say we'll support the redevelopment. Well, because they didn't carry their end. It implies to me, and I'm not sure what anybody else thinks, but it implies to me, it says, yeah, well, that's okay, but we'll support it anyway. I understand the intent of the letter, but just that sentence kind of takes all the vital words that were put in it, kind of takes it away, erases everything.
Okay.
Just how I read it.
All right. But legislatively, we are required to participate in this?
And we are to Algonquin, but they didn't need to change the
Out
rules
to
of the
the
game.
Castleholm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But they changed it, right?
Well, they haven't given us what we've asked for, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the original meetings we had. So that's what this letter really says. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm
North,
100% for the letter, but I don't like the will support.
Yeah, North Bay says the same thing. They're asking for the same thing we're asking for.
Right.
I talked to Dean Baker. They have more money than we do, but they're still looking for this information. I asked him about the exit strategy, and he said that he would try to find out, but right now he wasn't aware of one either, how we would get out of it. In the end, like, do why it's being redeveloped. Do we have to continue paying our monthly levy or whatever? He couldn't answer those questions. So that's part of it
Wow.
with what Castle has come back to us with. I also, when these meetings were being set up, I tried to have the chair of the board respond to me by an email, and he would not respond to me, my questions I asked. The only way I could get a response from him was to email Mayor Baker and copy him on the email. And then he responded to my question. But before that, he would not respond to me. All right, so just so everybody's aware of that. Councillor Grant, do you have anything you want to bring forth on this?
Yes, please. I have two things. I'd like to just start by saying that I think that the clarification on exit strategy is important. And I wonder if the four municipalities, Calvin, Matawan, Papineau-Cameron, and Mattawa, should meet and discuss that strategy. I'm only suggesting that possibly being a little bit more proactive in that, I simply want to be more educated as well, or maybe mayors, but if we could somehow virtually set up a meeting. And I say that in the spirit that maybe we shouldn't just wait and see what they give us. Maybe we should, ask for some things. And I know that some of the members of different municipalities, like yourself, Mayor Pennell, have more information on this as well, on what was previously discussed. So I say that in an effort to try and be a little bit more proactive and gather more information.
Actually, I don't know any more than what you do, really, Dean.
I know. I wonder though if it makes sense that the four municipalities wanting to exit would have separate meetings, in that we can discuss, what we'd like to see in an exit strategy instead of just taking what's given to us, I suppose. And I'm not sure on that. Maybe Mayor Pennell, you can comment on that first part. I don't know.
About what we would like to see?
Whether or not we should meet and discuss what we'd like to see. And that could be a future thing. I just think it should be an option as this plays out.
I think it's important for us to respond to this, okay, to Castleholm, to tell them that we don't accept what you're doing right now. You have to change, and you have to give us some more options, all right? The rest of the municipalities are doing the same thing, so we need to do that as well, all right? So, and I agree that perhaps we can get together at a later time to discuss how we're going to do this. But each municipality has the different financial abilities. I think Matawan, their portion is rather low, and I think they're pretty much prepared to pay for it. The town of Mattawa, I believe they're sitting in the same situation. I'm not sure about the Papineau-Cameron. They're pretty wealthy municipality just because of their waterfront stuff and their industry. But we're kind of like the little poor guy down the road. We don't have the tax base or the no, we don't have the tax base that they do. Anyway, so I need to know if we're going to send this letter to Castleholm.
I just wanted to add a second part as well, Mayor.
Okay.
I think this will help in this discussion. I support the resolution. I do want to echo what Heather was saying. I think that I would like to see 7 words removed, and I can just read it, and I will provide a brief explanation. Be it hereby resolved that Council of Municipality of Calvin, I'd like to see removed, will support the redevelopment of Castleholm, but, so instead it would read, hereby resolved that the Council of Municipality of Calvin rejects the proposed financing options. To me, it's a simple thing. I think it's important. And I think it's important because in the previous sentence, we are asking for a comprehensive business case, final architect design, current cost estimate. There's lots of things that we just don't have, and I
Right.
just want to jump the gun. I understand it's mandated and whatnot, and this is probably the direction we're moving. But I just like to ask fellow councilors, if we remove those 7 words and move forward. I think it's just a more effective letter myself. Thank you.
I'm okay with that. I'll ask, I'm going to go around the table again. Well, I call it around the table, but Councillor Cross, would you be okay with removing those 7 words? Would you support the agreement then?
Yes, I will. I think it's a very valid point that Heather made and
Okay.
Dean. It should be removed.
Councillor Maxwell
Yes.
and Councillor Olmsted? Councillor Olmsted? I guess
Sorry, I
I'm
was
not.
coughing. Yes, sorry.
And Councillor Grant? Okay,
Yes.
I think you're in agreement?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to call for, we've had discussions, I'm going to call a vote. Cindy, can we have those words removed and bring it back at the next meeting?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So we'll support the redevelopment of Castle Home, but those words will come out, right? Okay. Thank you very much. So we'll put this off until our next meeting. All right?
So it's
Deferred to the next
deferred.
meeting?
Is that
Thank you.
correct?
Yes.
Deferred?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So do I need a vote to defer something?
You can.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we know everybody's in agreement to it, right?
Okay.
So Sandy, do you vote to defer this till the next meeting in January 26th?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell?
Yeah, I'm okay with it as well, but it looked like Cindy was going to make the changes right there on the motion. Is it not possible to do it right today so that the letter gets off? Can we not make the changes right now?
I'd have to rewrite it, and we'd have to make
Okay.
an amendment and vote on the amendment and then vote on the final. You can, but there's steps that need to be taken.
Okay, I support it for it to be deferred.
Okay. Councillor Olmsted?
I support deferment.
And Councillor Grant?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is a motion to purchase gas detectors. Major costs covered by TransCanada Energy Grant. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this. I'm going to call Councillor Olmsted. Can you move this one?
I sure can.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second this one?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Olmsted, second by Councillor Cross, that council authorizes the fire chief to proceed with the bunker gear testing for 2021, as well as the purchase of 2 sets of bunker gear in advance of the approval of the 2021 budget in order to receive the bunker gear in a timely fashion. I should have read the whole thing. The corporation hereby authorizes the fire chief to purchase 2 Draeger XAM 2500 gas detectors with a Draeger X Charger in advance of the approval of the 2021 budget, with the majority of the cost, $5,000 of the $6,815.03, being covered by a gracious received grant from TransCanada Energy in December 2020. Council also hereby authorizes the fire chief to proceed with bunker gear testing for 2021, as well as purchase 2 sets of bunker gear in advance of the approval of the 2021 budget in order to receive the bunker gear in timely fashion. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maxwell?
I'm okay with it. I'm curious of the cost of the bunker testing and they purchased the 2 bunker gears. Well, that's, how much does bunker testing cost? Not that we can, I guess it has to be done, I guess, but.
So if you don't mind, I'll explain. So what I've been doing in the past, we're supposed to be testing them every year, but we do what we can do, right? So I usually use around $600, somewhere around there, to have repairs and cleaning done to the bunker gear as the gear is being used. We didn't do it last year because what happens is they come in, they'll test all 18 sets of our gear, and then they make a recommendation of repairs and mending or what or condition the gear is in. So that's what I've been doing. So I didn't do it last year, and that's why I want to have it done again this year. So I've pretty well had all the repairs made from the last one. And every year we buy 2 sets of bunker gear. So I just want to have the testing done before I buy my bunker gear, just in case I'm overlooking somebody's gear that's got damage that either needs replacing. This is usually a regular budget item, the 2 sets of bunker gear. We've been doing that. We have everything in like a cycle, so we've always done it. They're not well, we've been doing it for the last 5 years, but we've been working it in. So it's something that we've been doing every year. So I just kind of want to keep it moving ahead because it does take us 3 months to get the bunker gear. So the earliest I can have the gear tested is February 12th. They'll come down with their mobile unit. So the bunker gear cleaning is $1,000 plus tax. So it's $1,175.20 is what it's cost to do all their bunker gear tested for a year. And then each bunker gear this year is looking $2,400 each plus tax. So last year we took advantage of the early pricing. There was a raise in Nomax material, so the pricing went up a little bit. I've been shopping around. They're pretty well all similar. Again, I'm using TransCanada Safety just because they get better service to us, and their pricing was similar to everybody else. So they're all pretty well the same, but the service is better there. So that's why I'm moving to TransCanada Safety for that one. Does that answer your questions?
What was the testing cost? I didn't quite hear the number.
So it's $1,000 to test the gear.
All the gear?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then plus tax. So it works out to $1,175.20.
Okay.
So that's them coming down with their portable unit, and it takes them 5 hours to do all the gear here. And then we get a report that we file in our records saying we had our gear tested, and that I make my repairs or whatever I need to do from there.
So it's more of an inspection than a test.
Yeah.
Testing.
Well,
Okay.
they test the vapor barrier in the gear. They test the vapor barrier, and then they test for contaminations too as well. So if like one of the guys by accidentally got gas or something on their gear, what they do is you'd have to see the machine. I've actually seen this testing done live, but they put it under a pressure test. They have a machine that pushes through. So if a gear fails, it needs to be replaced. So if somehow the guy's got gas that I don't own, most of them we watch for stuff like that. But if it fails, then we need to replace it. So especially, it's not so much, the important of this is for frontline attack guys, our interior attack guys have to have their gear up to standard. If something were to happen and we didn't have this up, we'd be held liable. So this is part of their mandate to keep the gear up to standards and in 10 years and in good condition. So that's why I'm always, because we do pay lots of money for the gear, so we do have to take good care of them. So that's why we're always on guys, wash your gear after calls and stuff like that. But so this is more or less gives me direction to which we're make sure we're spending our money properly.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
So we're looking at about a $12,000 purchase here.
So $2,700 per gear. So that's $5,400 for 2 sets of bunker gear, and $1,100 the $6,500, $6,500, which would be in my, like every year that the bunker gear is in my budget. So it's mostly like a mandatory thing. Every year I've been putting it in the budget. So just by going ahead, it'd still be in the budget. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm doing this every other year or something. It's always something. Our budget kind of stays the same all the time. I know it's early, but it takes 3 months for us to get this stuff, so we'd probably get it in like June by the time, you know, everything's said and done. What happened last year before is that when I order it late, I don't get it till November. Sometimes it was like almost January by the time I got it. Depends, you know. And with COVID coming on, I just want to get it done before it creates more complications, you know.
So if it's something you order every year, wouldn't it be a good idea to put it in a budget so we don't have to take it out of next year's budget?
It is in this year's budget. Well, we haven't done this year's budget. Problem is we don't do the budget till May. Like by the time we get the budget set and finalized, it'd be May, and then it takes 3 more months to order it. So that I know it's kind of ahead of the system, but it's just I got lots of this stuff coming on down. It's kind of like, you know, our BAs need to be mandated to test it every year as well. We test those every year, and it actually gets done in January for this year, so they're done for the year ahead.
Yeah.
This year is for this year. Like this year we're looking at now is for 2021. It'll be in 21 budget. Like if you look back in the past years, we've always had 2 sets a year in every budget. The price has been gone up. I think we paid like $2,100 last year per set, and we paid $24 this year. So that's nothing I can do about it. I have shopped around on pricing, and it's pretty well across the board. Does that answer your question,
Yeah, kind of. I'm not questioning the purchase of that. I'm just questioning how it's into the budget, and that's fine. Okay. Okay. So that was anything further from you, Dan? Any questions or anything you want to talk about?
No, that was good. Thank you.
Councillor Olmsted, anything from you?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Councillor Grant.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to call this for a vote to bring this purchase ahead or not. Councillor Cross, did you vote yes or no for this purchase, these purchases?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant?
I vote yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, thank you. This resolution is carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. Okay, so next item on the agenda is a motion to purchase a snowblower. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Maxwell, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Maxwell, that council hereby authorize the Recreation Department in conjunction with the Treasurer to repair the existing snowblower or purchase a new snowblower if the repairs are too costly, within the confines of the procurement policy in advance of the approval of the 2021 budget, as the snowblower is essential in the maintenance of the ice rink. Any discussion, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I do. I think Jacob had mentioned that the repairs may cost between $5,000 and $1,000. He's thinking, if the machine's over 5 years old, putting that kind of money into a used machine, I don't feel comfortable with. To me, it's like, what's the next thing going to go? Usually when a machine that's being used like that, when it starts falling apart, the next thing goes afterwards. So maybe considering a newer machine, maybe the industrial one, or why I was asking about like if the lawnmower had a PTO, or if we could do like a quick attachment to current machinery we already have. Maybe that could be an option to look at. I'm trying to think more positive and for future. I mean, I know there was comments made by Heather, I believe, about if we did a rink around, if we did a track around the soccer field, that could be turned into a possible rink for non-ice hockey players. So would we need a different machine? I don't want to just, I know that we have a machine broken, but could we maybe take a bit of time to look forward to maybe future buys rather than a quick replacement? If you know what I mean with that. The other thing that I was going to ask for you to consider was, instead of going into next year's budget, because we didn't have this into the budget, and we've already had a few things come up this year that weren't in our budgets, like the cameras or the safety and wellness money that we had to spend, could we not possibly buy the new snow blower with the money that was raised by the rec committee that's been sitting there? It's about $2,700 that is there. It was raised by a rec committee, so why wouldn't it go towards a recreational purchase? And that wouldn't really affect our budget this year. So that could be something that could be taken into consideration. We spend a lot of money on our rink right now, and it's proven that that money has been well spent, because we had ice early this year with basically the liner I'm saying. And we've been talking about quality of the ice, so maybe taking into consideration some good ice making machinery could go along with that. That's all I have to say.
Do you have any comments on this resolution or any of Sandy's thoughts, Dan?
Good comments, Sandy. I agree with using the $2,700 from the rec department to help purchase the blower. It is important that we get the right piece of equipment, all right, one that's suitable for a rink, because the current one does not get down clean enough to the surface. It leaves a ½ inch of snow behind, and it has to be moved by hand. If it's left overnight, it freezes, and it's very difficult to remove that one, from my experience anyway. So yeah, I'm in favor of moving forward with a new purchase, but we would like to make sure that we get the right one. So not necessarily right away. I'd like the rec department come back to us with a proposal of what they would like to buy, and to research a little bit. And perhaps in the meantime, get the current snowblower fixed and make do with that, so we can buy the proper one without buying it in haste. Right now, a lot of things, personal things are difficult right now with a lot of recreational things, because it seems like everything is sold out, or it's hard to get when you're paying a premium for things. Yeah, and maybe make sure get a shear pin put in this blower when you have it. Most snow blowers have a shear pin that will shear off when anything gets jammed in the blade first before it breaks its shaft. So make sure it has one of those. Most snow blowers have that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councillor Olmsted.
I echo the past two. I agree with both of them. I didn't understand why this snowblower didn't have a shear pin. There's not any implement I have that doesn't have a shear pin. I'm surprised somebody didn't get hurt, because that's why they're there, is for safety, right? So I do want our employees to be safe, and buying the right material is pertinent. Yeah, I'm in favor of doing some better research to find out what is the best to remove snow from ice. I have no experience on that, but yeah, so maybe we can defer this until they have better information for us. It's a good thing it's gonna be warm. We're not having snow for a couple weeks. That's good. Like nothing significant anyway. Anyway, so I'm in to defer it until they have better information for us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councillor Grant?
I support the other councilors' comments. I'd like to see more details. I want to make sure that we make an investment. I mean, I think it's a pretty significant investment. It's something that is well thought out and specifically what we need for the tasks. Thank you.
Okay, there was a couple different ideas in there. There was Sandy's about maybe looking for a different type of a snowboard, but that kind of aligned with Dan, looking at the proper snowblower to clean the ice. And then Dan suggested also that we go ahead with having the current snowblower repaired until we could get a better understanding of what snowblower we would buy in the future, and have the rec group come back with something, present to us with what they would like to purchase and how much that would be. And then Dean suggested that he agreed with the other people. So I'm thinking that, and I have to verify this with you, okay, that we ask the rec committee to repair the existing snowblower, and then to come back to us with the recommendations on future purchase, and that we would use the money from the that's already here in the recreation budget to help out with that purchase. I'm thinking that's what we're going to do, but I'm going to pass that by everyone again. You agree with that, Sandy?
My concern with repairing the snow blower that is now is where is the what word am I looking for? How much are you willing to spend on something if you're going to go and purchase something else? You don't want to go and spend $500 or $1,000 on repairing something when that $500 to $1,000 could go towards putting towards the 2,700 and purchasing something better. So do they have in mind what would be too much for fixing the current snow blower?
Do they have in mind what?
What would be the limit that you would want to spend on fixing the old snow blower?
What did your estimate was, Jacob?
Hi. So we had looked at parts only. This doesn't include the labor for the shop to install, but we'd guessed between 500 and 1,000 for parts. I would say a safe guess would be to double it and say between $1,000 and $2,000 bill that we'd be looking at to repair it. Again, this is just from us estimating, looking at parts. It's not an actual quote on what the repairs would be. We would have to wait approximately another 2 weeks before they'll be able to get around to looking at it to tell us what it would cost to repair it. And then whatever delays there would be in receiving the parts during the state of emergency we're currently in. So we could possibly be looking at a month before we have a snowblower to clear the rink.
Okay. Thank you. Kind of a little quandrum. $2,000
So if we're
is
not
what?
gonna, it is, so I'm thinking if we're not gonna have it for a month anyways, we may as well just do the investigation to find out what the exact tool we need to clear the ice or the snow from the ice would be, because we're not gonna have a snowblower either way.
Right.
So just take a little bit, find out exactly what we need, get that with the 2,700, like Sandy said, and Dan said, and Dean said, and you said. I assume. So we're not gonna have a snow blower. Let's just find out and buy the right one.
Okay, so then I'm thinking what I heard was that we're not going to repair the old one, and we'd like Jacob, you to come back to us at the next meeting and give us what type of snow blower you want to purchase and the cost, and the delivery time on it.
I have some quotes that I've found. These are just off the web.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm flipping through my papers to find them right now. I got an actual quote from on a Husqvarna. It was for an industrial snowblower. We could get it for about $3,200. For a Husqvarna. For an Ariens, we were looking at, I believe it was around $3,500, and for a Cub Cadet, we were also looking at around $3,500. The Ariens and Cub Cadets were not quotes; they're just prices we pulled off the web. So they would need further investigation, talking, and negotiating with salesperson to the best deal we could get. But that gives a ballpark look at what the cost of an industrial snowblower would be that would be more equipped to handle something the size of our rink.
So we're kind of looking at $3,200 plus tax?
Yes, you'd be looking between 32 and 35,000 between tax.
100.
100, right?
Sorry, 100. Yes, 3,200 to 3,500. There is stuff changes between the models that you have to consider. Some are 2-stage auger systems, some are 3-stage auger systems. Some have hydrostat steering, some are friction disc steering or propelled, I should say, so that those small costs or add up to what may make a better one. Something that with the old snowblower is a friction disc, where it's just a disc that spins on a plate. And in the warmer weather, water will drip down into it and cause the snowblower to slip, so the wheels aren't actually driving. If you got something with the hydrostat, again, we'd have to do a little bit more research into it, but we believe that that would eliminate some of that and allow for better pressure to be put on the ice for scraping and hopefully clear the snow much better. These machines are also quite a bit heavier than the existing one is, so there'd also be that added weight on that the clearing blade of the snowblower. And they would be able to handle much larger volumes of snow and throw further, so they may also speed up the time of clearing the rink.
So if you just go and research exactly which one works best and then come back, I guess. Maybe make a phone call to a couple other outside rinks and find out what they use. North Bay.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we still don't have something for clearing the rink if we do get a big dump of snow.
Right.
So this resolution is sort of put in place to allow myself and Cindy to work together to, within following the guidelines of the procurement bylaw, to purchase a snowblower that would be adequate to clear the rink or repair the existing snowblower depending on the cost of it. This is to give council, to give us direction as to where you're leaning. Do you want us to repair it? Do you want us to replace it? Are you okay with us going with the more industrial snowblower that's going to be better suited to cleaning the rink? Do you want us to stick with the same type of residential snowblower that we're going with, or that we have had?
I think we decided we don't want to repair the old one, but Cindy, you had your hand up there.
Jacob was just, that's, what he just said was what I was going to say, so I'm fine.
So, So we've determined that we don't want to repair the old one, right? Because that'd be $2,000. Poof, voila.
Well, we don't actually know.
But
Well,
it's
you
taken
know
a
it's
month
going to be
to find out.
$1,000 for parts, right?
Well, they haven't even looked at it, which we're not gonna do for 2 weeks, so we still have a problem that we don't have a snow blower for the next month. Either way, whether we purchase one or we don't get it repaired. So I think we need a more active plan on how we're going to have the ice cleared in the next month. Letting the snow just stand there is probably not a solution. So I'm curious to know what the plan is in the short term of getting the ice cleared while we're trying to resolve the purchasing of this. I mean, are we going to look at possibly renting one, or is there other solutions in here? I think running into purchasing this is still going to not solve our problem, because we're still going to be a month without at least a month without a blower, without something to clear the rink with.
Well, I think that depends on if we pass this resolution or not. If we go ahead and pass this resolution, the discussion so far has been, okay, Jacob, go get some prices on snow blowers and then come back and tell us which one you want to buy. And I think at that time we would listen to his recommendations and why he was making those recommendations, and then probably follow those recommendations, because he's the one who's going to be using them, and the rest of the rec committee. So if we were to pass this bylaw tonight, okay, that would give the rec committee, rec department, the authority to go ahead and purchase the best snow blower they can get to do this job for the money, right? So that's what this resolution is for.
It does say,
so
though,
if we do that, we would have a snow blower before a month.
it does say to purchase a new one if the repairs are too costly. So that's in the resolution, that if the repairs are too costly, it still requires us to find out the cost of the repairs. The way the resolution is written anyway. Before we can do that, but apparently they're not going to look at the machine for another 2 weeks. So we have a short-term problem here as well, how we're going to have the ice cleared. I'm curious to know what the solution is for that. Maybe it's two items we're talking about here, but the part of the solution is there still isn't a solution for the next month on clearing the ice. And I'd like to know how that's going to be done.
Well, one solution would be to buy a snowblower, okay? And I don't know what another solution would be. I don't know if we can rent a snowblower. I don't know. But we won't resolve that tonight.
It just seems like you're buying or... I was just saying that either buying it or repairing it, it's still a month away at least. It's still going to be the middle of February, so the rink is probably going to be closed by the time we get any equipment in there to clean it.
So are we just not going to clean the rink the rest of the winter and shut her down?
That's what I'm asking.
I guess we could do
May I
that.
speak, Mayor Canada?
Yes, please.
I have a snow blower here that the staff can use if need be for the next month. If we have a lot of snow, it's a push snow blower, if that's okay. I would still think we need to come up with a dollar figure of what would be too much to fix the old snow blower. I think anything over $500 would be too much, my personal opinion. We could, if it's not that much, then have it fixed and we could use it as a spare. But I still think we should be buying a new snow blower that is adequate for our needs. And I don't want to see us rush into it. So I think Jacob needs to definitely investigate what is needed for what we have.
So your snow blower doesn't have a drive wheels on it? You got to push it?
It has wheels.
Do they
No
spin?
drive.
No, to be honest, I don't use it. So I would have to go ask my husband. So I don't do snow. But we do have a push behind that looks a lot like the one that was at the rink. And if need be, you can use it.
Okay. It's probably motorized then, like drive. Right? Okay, so then, I guess what we need, everybody's got so many different ideas. It seems like what we want to do then is to get a price on the repair and get some prices on recommended snow blower. And in the meantime, Councillor Cross, it will allow the staff, okay, at the in the rec committee to rec department to blow the snow off of the rink. Is that correct, Councillor Cross?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that acceptable to you, Councillor Maxwell,
Yes.
and Councillor Olmsted,
Yes.
and Councillor Grant?
Yes, and that this, we also can shovel snow. Thank you.
Pardon me?
We also
We can still shovel.
Shoveling is also an option, but yes, I support that.
Yeah. Okay,
Cindy has a
so,
que- Cindy has a question.
Cindy.
oh, yes, please, go ahead.
So again, I just want to reiterate that if that's the way council wants to go, we can still do the research and all that sort of thing, but can council pass this resolution, or motion, excuse me, make it a resolution so that the treasurer, myself, and the rec department can do the research, find the machine that we want, and make the purchase within the procurement policy so that we don't have to come back to council again.
Councillor Cross?
We'll be abiding by the procurement policy, so that's why the policy is in place, but just so that we don't have to come back to council again. If council wants to know what kind of machine we bought, then we can report on that and tell council what we've purchased, et cetera, but so that this doesn't, we can advance the purchase of the machine as quickly as possible.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so
I'm
it's
in
within the
agreement with that.
purchasing guidelines, the purchasing policy. So it's within our bylaws or whatever, our rules to follow. So I'm going to ask, how do you want to move ahead with this resolution or not, Sandy? Yes or no?
Yes, I will.
Councillor Maxwell?
I think I can support it as long as we have a price. It's always about money for me, so I want to make sure that we have a ceiling of, my suggestion is like 4,000 before tax. Don't go over that amount. If not, come back to council for that.
Okay. Councillor, no.
Then you want to say,
I
Councillor
just
Cindy?
say,
No.
as for the procurement bylaw, the threshold is $5,000. So a manager and the treasurer can purchase up to $5,000, and then after that, there's different thresholds between 5 and 25. It has to have quotations that have to be brought to council, et cetera, et cetera. So there's certain, it's a schedule. So the threshold would be $5,000. If it was over $5,000, then we bring it back to council.
I'm okay with that. It sounds realistic.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Councillor Grant?
Sure.
Okay, so that was the voting on this, right? And I vote yes as well.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know. It just, is the money going to be used from the rec committee to make the purchase? Because it's saying that it's going to come out of next year's budget.
I'd like to see it come out of the money that was in the rec budget.
Me as well.
How would you like to see it, Councillor Cross?
Well, that's why I'm asking, because I think it should come out of the rec, the money that was sitting there.
Okay, Councillor Maxwell, I think you already said that, yes?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, your thoughts on that?
Same.
And Councillor Grant?
I don't think I'm outvoted, but I'd like to see, to have that discussion at budget time.
Okay. So we're going to be doing this before budget time, right? This purchase, right?
Yes, I understand that, but where that money comes from, whether or not we remove from the rec budget, or I understand it's purchased in advance. I just don't see the rush to determine exactly where we fund it from if we're agreeing to already do it.
Well, the money we're talking about is already in reserves, okay? And the other money would have to come out of next year's capital, I guess. Is that correct, Cindy?
Yes, but that Councillor Grant is correct. We can make that determination at the time of budget, whether we're taking it out of reserve. It's just
Okay.
a matter of where we take the money from, the expenditures and the revenues. So we can make that decision at budget time if council wishes.
So how do we pay for it now?
We just pay the invoice right now, just like we would for the bunker gear and everything
Okay.
else.
All right. So I guess this resolution is passed. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda was a piece of advertising, basically, from Think Best Practices. And it was, like I say, an advertisement to help municipalities be organized and do different things. Cindy, I believe, had a conversation with this gentleman. And I think some costs might have been discussed. Could you update us on that, please, Cindy?
Sure. So at the moment, council has requested that staff do a service review of service delivery review of the services that we provide, and we're in the midst of that. The report is due for the February 9th council meeting. This particular company contacted me approximately 8 to 10 months ago, asking if they could put together a proposal for us, for them to do a service delivery review for us. I was pretty confident that it was going to cost quite a bit of money, so I kept putting them off. But just recently, last week, I set up a meeting with him and discussed the situation. And essentially, he said what we're doing would be the preliminary or the very first step of what they would do. They would go more in depth. So in order to provide council with a basis point of the type of report that staff is going to provide versus what a professional company could provide, I asked him to put together this proposal. As Mayor Pennell indicated, it's quite costly, and as I had anticipated, it's quite costly. But it's an option. I just thought council should be aware of that. If we do want a professional company to do this review, and it would be more in depth than like I said, than what staff can provide. Not that we can't provide it. It's going to take us probably quite a bit longer to provide that information. We can do it in stages. You know, there's different options, but this is just to provide council with an idea of how much it would cost to get a professional company to do the service delivery review.
Okay. Anybody, Sandy, you got anything you want to say towards that?
It's very expensive.
Pardon?
I said it's very expensive. I don't see us using this service. I'm trusting what our staff is putting together for us is going to be sufficient. That's all.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yeah, I can't see using the service right now. Yeah, not too interested in their service right now. I read it, gave me a headache reading it. I was like, oh, God. But I have nothing to say, nothing else to add.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yeah,
Your thoughts?
no, thank you. All I keep on remembering is when we were at a training session, he said, just remember your population and that guide your decisions. And so I'm thinking of our population and I'm letting that decide my decision. No, thank you. We have 500. I'm pretty sure our staff are competent enough to put forward service plans for 500 people. That's all.
Councillor Grant?
I think it's good to see. I'd like to say thanks, Cindy, for bringing that forth, and I'd like to thank Best Practices for putting that together for us. I think there's definitely a cost barrier there, but it's good to see what options we have, and that's where I'll leave it.
Okay, thank you. There would be a considerable amount of time required by staff to help these people as well gather this information.
Yeah.
So thank you. Looks like we'll maybe look at that later. If we do, I think we need to look at more than just this company, though. Look at what other companies might be able to provide for a similar funding amount.
So one other thing, can I say something, Ian?
Yes.
I was under my impression that we were doing an audit of services, so basically just a list of services that we provided. I didn't realize that we were doing a service review. Service review. I thought we were just doing an audit of services for the first step, and then perhaps followed up with a service review. But it's just I thought they were two different things. This sounds like it's the next step after our audit of services that we requested.
Are you listing things or going into detail, Cindy?
Right now, the preliminary report that has been requested is exactly what Councillor Maxwell has indicated. It's just a listing and a prioritization based on staff opinions.
Okay.
There can be further review done at a later date.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is that okay with you, Dan?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. We'll move on to the next one. Next one is item L. Item L. Municipality of Calvin, all departments, acknowledgement of updated job descriptions. Has everyone had a chance to look through those? I think they were pretty detailed. So basically it's an acknowledgement that they're there. It's not to redo them or modify them or whatever. So I need a mover and a seconder, first of all, to discuss this. So Dean, could you move this one, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
And Heather, could you second it?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Dean, seconded by Heather, that council hereby acknowledges the updates made to the job descriptions of staff for the Corporation Municipality of Calvin. So that's open for discussion. Sandy, anything you'd like to offer?
No, it was very thorough. It gave me a better idea of who's doing what, and I learned a few things there. So very good job. Thanks. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maxwell?
I was just curious as why it was done before the audit of services. It seems like we should have had the audit service first and then rewrite the job descriptions. But I would also like to see the changes from what they were to what they are. I'm not sure what are the changes of all of the, maybe a summary of just what were the major changes or why we decided to be done? What job descriptions no longer matched, and what items we changed in a summary would be, if Cindy could actually explain that, what were the major changes in the job descriptions of the positions? I would like to know that, because I couldn't compare them. I couldn't find the old job descriptions to compare them to the new job descriptions.
The old job descriptions are in the large binder that the council was provided,
Yes.
orientation. There was a section specifically on
Oh, yes.
the job descriptions.
I did see them. I'm missing some of those.
Some of
Somebody stole
them,
mine.
you're correct, some of them would not have been in there because the job descriptions there were for instance, Jacob has taken over job positions, duties, whatever you want to call it, of that Mr. Brewitt used to do. But Mr. Brewitt also did other things that Jacob doesn't do. Like, for instance, Ken Brewitt was CBO. He was also a project manager, and that's not part of Jacob's job description. So we amended the job descriptions based on what the current employees are doing. And the reason why they were done now instead of with the service delivery review is because we were doing performance reviews, and typically when you do a performance review, you also review the job description at the same time, and so that's why it was done at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Heather, any comments?
Thank you. That was one of my questions. There was a couple of just things I'd like to tweak. On the position for, well, I have a couple things. Lottery licensing and keep track of AGOCO updates. That's for
Where are you?
Schedule A, administrative assistant.
Okay, administration assistant. Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
about 12 bullets down, lottery licensing and keep track of AGCO updates. I wasn't
Okay.
aware that we gave lottery licenses.
Mayor Pennell, can I respond to that?
Yes, please.
We don't at the present time. There have been requests. At one point, the Calvin Fire Department was inquiring about obtaining a lottery license. The Calvin Women's Association was also inquiring about obtaining a lottery license. So someone within the office does have to be aware of what the rules and regulations are from the AGCO, and that has been assigned to the administrative assistant.
Okay, thank you. And then, okay, replacing, I got that. And then on the roads department equipment operator, it says be courteous and exercise tact when dealing with the public. Either include that in every job description or take it out of that particular one, because that's not consistent. I think that everybody should be courteous and exercise tact when dealing with the public, and everybody does deal with the public. So either it doesn't go in or it goes in every one.
Let's see.
Just to be cohesive, right?
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Does everybody agree?
Check my notes.
Sandy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and Dan?
Okay with that?
Okay, and Dean?
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, I think you said yes. Okay,
Okay. Then I'm going on to landfill.
landfill?
So 10th bullet, Investigate and enforce unacceptable or illegal waste dumping. I'm not sure if that should be under the job description just for safety purposes. I wonder if that's just too dangerous of a scope that it should just be right to reporting it to the police. I think that's dangerous for just a regular guy, an unarmed guy with, you know, I'm just not comfortable with that. I want to keep our employees safe. I understand why it was put there, but I don't see one of our employees going up to somebody's houses and saying, I caught your garbage at the such and such. I understand if it's just at the dump, just a small little thing, but I don't think it should be part of the job description. I don't know what everybody else's opinion is that. I'm just thinking about safety.
It's at the dump. It's so.
Just at the dump, but
if you're putting recyclables over the edge,
yeah,
you have the
I understand that.
Plant attendant would say, please don't put the recyclables over the edge. Please put them in the recyclable. It's not
and I understand
going
that
anyone. That's not part of that. That's not what that means.
Okay. Well, because when I read the illegal waste dumping, then all kinds of sirens went off in my.
That's not what
if,
that means.
So can we take the illegal? I understand unacceptable waste like that. Kind of just seems very harsh words to me. Maybe I'm just exaggerating. It just seemed very harsh to me. But if everybody else is okay with that, then fine. We need to take out the maintain water system and document.
Which one?
Community center, sorry. The recreation landfill cemetery coordinator, occasional equipment operator. So now that we are on our well system, so we do our well system testing, monitoring, flushing, all that kind of stuff. This seems to ring to me the old cistern system.
There's still a water system that needs to be maintained. You're correct. The cistern system is gone, but there's still a water system that needs to be maintained.
Right. So
the UV system, shocking the well when it's required, like well testing, like you indicated, all those types of things. So there's still a water system that needs to be maintained.
Right. It just to me rang to me the same as the cistern, and I think there's different wording. I don't know. And I didn't know. Okay, so moving forward to the skating rink, ball field, and change room. I'll go down to the 5th bullet. Didn't know where our boardwalk was.
Up by the soccer field.
Is there a boardwalk by the soccer field?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Okay, that was that. Oh, and okay, so then moving forward to the landfill attendant, the second last page. Why do they have to provide their own vehicle for transportation? The students can work there by themselves. They don't have their own transportation. I don't think that they need to have their own transportation to have that position.
How would they get there?
It's the same way the students do.
Okay. That would be their own
I don't think you need
transportation.
So it says must provide own vehicle for transportation. The kids don't provide their own vehicle for transportation. Like, I don't know why you need to have your own vehicle.
To
Just
get
for
there.
future, you know. Pardon me?
Just to get there and go home afterwards.
Well, you can get dropped off and picked up. Not everybody has a license, but they're perfectly good to, you know, work.
Yes, I understand that. Okay,
I don't think that's a requirement for employment.
okay.
I know a lot of
What
people
number was
don't
that?
have a license. That was the second last page, landfill attendant,
Yeah, what
number
number?
5.
5?
5.
Okay.
I could see, their own transportation, but they don't need their vehicle,
So take
their own
out
vehicle.
vehicle. Must provide own transportation?
Yeah, must provide own transportation, that's fine, but not own vehicle for transportation.
Okay.
Then the last page, municipal enforcement officer. It's a general purpose position to be responsible for orderly and consistent enforcement of certain municipal bylaws. My first instinct was to say, well, who enforces the rest? So somehow the wording needs to be changed on that sentence.
Well, we have
And
a
that's it.
bylaw for a borrowing budget, right? So he wouldn't reinforce that one, right?
Right, so, but yeah, he's an animal control officer and a lot of baseball caps, I understand, but, so we can take out certain, because, I mean, because to me, the reading says, well, who enforces the rest? So enforcement of municipal bylaws. Because he's not going to enforce, the by or certain. I just want to take out certain. And that's all I have.
Okay. So we have to make some changes here before we can go. Well, we have to take a vote on what you're. I'm gonna ask Dean first if he has any comments on it. Dean, do you have anything you want to add or talk about in regard to this?
Yes, I usually like, and typically we're always provided with what the edits are. So it's just nice to see what the edits are. So I can be aware of maybe some things that are being updated, and I think support. Yeah, so we can move on to Heather's edits now. Thank you.
I didn't catch the last thing, Dean.
I was just going to say that I support Heather's edits except for the boardwalk, but it's not a high boardwalk; it's low to the ground. That's why you didn't see it. But yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've had discussion. I'm going to call a vote on it. That we acknowledge, basically the council hereby acknowledges the updates made to job descriptions of staff for the Corporation of the State of Calvin. So Sandy, do you vote to accept these updates?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, so this resolution is carried. I would think that we would consider some of the changes that were discussed for perhaps next year. No, job descriptions. Tunnock Consulting. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to approve the recommended changes to the official plan. So I need a mover and a seconder for that. Heather, could you move that one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Dan, could you second that one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Heather, seconded by Dan, that council hereby approves the recommended changes to the draft revision of the official plan as proposed by Glenn Tunnock of Tunnock Consulting as per the email dated Wednesday, January 6th at 12:49 p.m. So that's open for discussion. Sandy, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
No, I don't.
And Dan?
No, nothing to add.
Okay. Heather?
Yes.
Okay.
So in our road agreement, so I'm going to refer you to number 2,
Mhm.
letter F. So, okay. I'll take it to page 3, letter F.
Page 3, letter F.
Provide
Okay.
that the applicant assumes all risks and the municipality none, with an indemnity from the former to the latter. So basically, this is imposing our road agreement. We have a road agreement. I think most people do. But the roads are owned by the municipality, and I don't know how the applicant can assume all risks when the municipality actually owns the land, right? And I really don't know why he has that in here at all, but,
Can I maybe add in some perspective,
oh, thank you, yes. Mhm.
Mayor Pennell?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, found the document quite interesting to read. It's quite confusing. But if you read the number 3, the like F is a category under 3. It does say set up a system of permits to allow the use of the road under conditions laid out by the municipality, such as. So it doesn't specify a requirement. And I think that, you know, there's a possibility where, for example, I think that I agree with Heather that piqued my interest, but I do think there's a situation. I'll just give an example of a situation, and maybe I'm not on here, but for example, we have an industrial development. Let's say they develop both sides of the road, a dead end, and we close that section of road. We still possibly would own it, but you know, we might sign an agreement saying that they would assume all liability. It's no longer open to the public. So I think that you know, although it sounds maybe harsh, that there, you know, I guess maybe extreme situations that maybe we haven't seen before that may be possibly applicable. So those are my comments on that particular section. Thank you.
I heard about a
I see
quarter
what
of it dead.
Oh, I think it's not coming through. I don't feel like that's a commonly used thing. I guess I'll try and summarize. I feel like that could be something that we may use if
Okay.
closing a road for an industrial development or something. You know, and you know, we might want to retain ownership for future.
Okay.
It piqued my interest, but I don't know, Heather, if that helps maybe clarify too.
It does. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Because it says such as, so not meaning that we do not have to, as a municipality, do these things.
No. It's
Thank you, Dean.
could.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Dean, do you have anything?
I think it's a step in a direction that I wanted to see. I don't think it goes as far as I was hoping to see with some of the edits that we had suggested, that I had suggested anyways, and Papineau Cameron had suggested. You know, I think we were a little concerned that maybe it wasn't as development friendly as I was concerned. It wasn't as development friendly as I was hoping. And it's a step in the right direction. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote on this one, okay? To approve or not approve the recommended changes. So Sandy, how do you vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
And Dan, yes or no?
Yes.
And Heather?
Yes.
And Dean?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you all. Yeah. Let's just go to the next one. It's next one on the agenda is N. It's discussion of staffing levels at the landfill site. There's some information that's been provided here by Jacob. Sandy, do you have something you want to discuss regarding this?
I understand the concerns and the concept behind about the services. The few times I've been at the landfill site, I've actually seen that there's not been a lot of sorting done by the public, and that the workers were actually having to do a lot of it still. So I don't know how much of the service level has gone down. I mean, we still need, not all of them are there each time. I think it was a rarity. I trust that our superintendent would be stating whether or not we really needed them there or not. There's not much more I can say about that.
Dan, any comments?
I think that the recommendation, I don't know if this is a recommendation or not, but the suggestions in here of having 4 people on a Saturday in the summer and COVID is over is too many. There's too many employees at the landfill site. There's not enough work there for that many employees, and when you go there, and right now with COVID, they're not touching your garbage. You put it in the bin and they dump it in, so they're not doing any sorting at all. There's no reason to have 3 people there right now. They're usually sitting down when you go there, or they're not. There's not enough work for them to do, because all you do is you dump your garbage in the containers and they dump it into the binner. So they're just picking it up and dumping it as they fill up. But it's Calendar, so you're not dumping all day long. And if it gets busy with 3 or 4 cars, well, you quickly have a break after that to catch up. In my opinion, I mean, I don't work there full time, but it just seems a bit excessive, and we have to. Employees are a big expense, so you don't have to have extra ones sitting around. And it sets a bad work environment for students don't have any work to do. It doesn't teach them about work ethics and about keeping busy. And so I don't think we should overstaff that area when it's, especially in COVID right now, when we're not doing a lot, we're doing zero sorting as far as I'm understanding. I don't think we're doing any sorting for anybody as of yet. My experience is there that you've sorted yourself. If you come with unsorted garbage, they just point to the bin where you have to put it in. They're watching you work, but they're not doing it themselves because they don't want to touch anything that you brought in there. So to me, I want to go back to the maximum of 2 employees at the landfill site, and on scheduled hours and without any extra hours put in. I do work in the time that is available there, and I think that 2 is like more than enough employees at the landfill site at all times, especially if we're not doing sorting. It's actually a job that can be done by 1 person, I think, without sorting. But we'd like to have 2 there for safety reasons and other things. And so you take breaks and things. But
I'll come back to you in a minute, Sandy. Heather?
I 100% agree with Dan. There's no sorting. And there shouldn't be, because, we are in COVID, and 2 staff can manage very well. That's all I have to say.
Dean?
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Maxwell's comments. And I'd just like to add too that this is I kind of want to look at this, it doesn't have to be today, right now, tonight, but this is, I'm going to make a point here. This is a good opportunity to review this service. And what I mean by that is we've been forced to change the way that we're handling garbage at the landfill. And I would like to compare this year, or last year, I should say, maybe to this year or the year before, so that we can see, what does it cost us? What's the man hour difference? What are the differences between self-sorting and sorting? Because if the difference is not that significant, then I want to provide as a council, I want to provide a better service. If there's a significant cost savings, then and I'm interested in gathering more information around this service, and how we can better manage the landfill. So I appreciate this report, and I'd like to see it expanded a little bit, to be honest, or something that we keep records on. Thank you.
There was an earlier report, I think by Jacob, it's a couple months ago now, that said that the recyclables weren't clean because people weren't sorting them properly. So that was a reduction in cost. But Sandy, you had something you wanted to say?
I was under the impression that there was only a couple of times when there was 3 employees there, and that was for Pauline to catch up on clipping cards, which I think she's the only one that does that. And we also have agreed that there will be always 2 there at all times for safety issues. So the only time I'm under the understanding is when Pauline has come in for extra catch-up time. I would really like to hear, I mean, I don't spend hours at the landfill to really know what goes on. So I would really prefer to hear maybe from Pauline, if possible, even though I know that Jacob does a report, but I don't think Jacob is there. I think Pauline or Brandon is there. Maybe to hear from their point of view of how things are going would help me clarify whether or not, our services should be changed or not. Just a suggestion.
Jacob, do you have anything you want to offer? I don't know if you're still here or not.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I was just unmuting myself.
Okay. You heard some comments, anything?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, we've had only 2 employees at the landfill. There have been some incidents or situations where we've been training a new employee so that new person could get some one-on-one time with the landfill attendant. We did have 3 people. I believe there's 2 other incidents where we had 3 people for the day, other than the ones that were in the previous report Cindy gave you guys. There's 2 previous ones when we look back in the history, where I'd seen that there was the 3 employees there since COVID, and that was to catch up on a backlog of work at the landfill. I mean, another option, like the work still needs to be done or to be caught up on. Another option is just having someone come in outside of regular operating hours to do the work. So it's not seen by public that there is the work being done.
It's a good suggestion.
What work is it that you're referring to, Jacob?
I'm referring to something like cutting the cards or sorting the waste electronics or cleaning out the Kelvin Mall, the new to you shed, sorting and piling tires. Some of those things are examples of when we bring in extra people. in the spring, we get into situations where we're cleaning up the garbage bags that have blown around. So we bring in extra staff so that someone can focus on cleaning up the garbage bags while the other people are working. So you have someone there with you in the event you get a situation with a bear that gets between you and a vehicle. We like to keep them in teams of people for safety reasons. Some of those things could be shifted to like when the landfill's not open, if we can schedule people. And then that would reduce seeing 3 people there working as attendants when someone who may have brought in extra staff to catch up on something.
Okay.
I'm not in favor of that. I think that the work has to be done on the day that they're scheduled to work on, and that you just have to work more efficiently and get all the work done on the day that you have scheduled to work. It's really important that they work efficiently and do the work that needs to be done. If it doesn't get done on the scheduled day, you do it the next scheduled day. But I think all the work should be able to be done on these scheduled dump days and those hours. The idea of people going in after hours to do that, I just don't agree with that. It's not something I would do in a business environment. I don't think we should do it in the township environment either.
I'd like to also make a comment on for us to consider. It is very difficult to hire somebody for the landfill position. We don't have a big lineup of people wanting this job, and making sure that maybe that there is enough hours given to the people that are doing it to make it worthwhile them coming in. Because there has been a comment in the past by an employee that said it's not even covering their gas to come in for the small amount of time. We also do need to consider that we have a contract that will be coming up at the end of August, and whether or not she renews it or not, we are going to be looking for the hiring again. This is not an easy job to fill. And if we start cutting more hours, we may lose more than what we expect. I mean, they're making minimum wage. So I get that we want the service, we want them to be working, but you also got to make the job attractive enough for somebody to actually come in and do it. It's not a pretty job. Wintertime, it's freezing. Summertime, it smells and there's flies. So I don't see, I mean, we don't have a big lineup of people wanting this job.
Mayor Pennell?
Heather had her hand up there, Dean.
Sure.
Okay. Heather?
I just want to acknowledge the point that I think Jacob was trying to alleviate, is that, here we have 3 staff and nobody's doing any sorting. And so I think it's perceived by the public that why are we wasting money on that? All your points are valid, Sandy. I understand that. But I'm just trying to, and that was a brilliant idea, Jacob. I think you understand that residents would be a little perturbed that they have to sort their own garbage when there's the same amount of staff there. I think that's the problem. And I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's not an easy job to fill. I wish there was a happy medium. I don't know the answer to that, but I like where Jacob was going. Especially for the extra things like moving tires and stuff like that. That could be done at a different time with 2 people, because that is a lot of work. But I think it's something we need to have a little bit more information on, like Dean was saying. Is there disgruntled people anymore like it was at the get-go? Are people just used to it now? That kind of information. That's all I want to say.
Dean?
Well, I think it's a great discussion. I mean, we can move forward with something productive out of all this for sure. And I really agree with Dan's comments. I think that efficiency is really important, and running at top efficiency, I think, is essential. And Sandy brought up some good points, same with Heather. So maybe we address them in different ways. You know, maybe there's other ways we can address that. But I do support Dan's idea that, you know, when we have two employees there, that they you know, they can be active throughout their entire shift, and there's a lot of work that can be accomplished, I think. And it just sets a good example and moves us forward. So I'm interested in those comments, and I like, you know, I like this focus on bear safety, and if necessary we could, you know, we could do some training and have people, you know, maybe have bear spray, air horns. I don't know. I'd like to see what the staff have to say about this. But that being said, I don't want to see that used. You know, there's technology and things we can do to get around, you know, having two people, having like a watch person constantly. Like, you know, we can have two people work, you know, within earshot, close to each other. You know, there's safety mechanisms we can use to make everything more efficient. Appreciate all the comments. Thank you. And might have suggested Jacob, you know, works with us and, you know, provides some ideas, and maybe do a service review coming up. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Don't know what to say. We didn't really decide on a lot of things. We talked about what things happened there. There was a couple of things that I didn't think about, and now that they were mentioned, I know what happens, like the tires and the electronic waste and the mall. I hadn't thought about that, but that would take time to do. I don't know if it would take 4 staff to do it, but it would take some time. I just think we have to be mindful of how many staff we have there and what they're doing and if they're all required. Right? And we have to count on our management to make sure that that happens. Okay? All right, move on. Next item on the agenda is O. It's a municipality of Calvin from administration. It's notice of a closed portion for the January 26th meeting. So I need a mover and a seconder on this. Dean, can you move this one?
Yes.
And Sandy, can you second it, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a resolution moved by Dean, seconded by Sandy. As per Municipal Act, Section 239 2B and D, a closed portion of the council shall be held during the regular. A closed portion of council shall be held during the regular council meeting of Tuesday, January 26, 2021, for the purpose of personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal and local board employees and labor relations and employee negotiations, performance review. Okay? So, any discussion, Sandy?
Are we signing out and coming back in?
No, that's not for tonight. January 26th.
Okay.
Okay.
My bad. Okay. No discussion.
Okay, Dan?
Is it possible to get the information earlier than a few hours before the meeting? Can we get it, say, for example, 24 hours before the meeting? What happens to me in these closed meetings is that I haven't got enough time to think about the situation. And when I get home, I always think, oh, I should have said this, I should have done that. I get my second thoughts on the situation. But when things are dumped to me at a meeting like that, you get the instant response, but you don't get the thought out response. And I think it's really important that I think through the closed portions of our job. Okay. So I'd like more time to see the information, at least 24 hours, if that's possible. That's all I have to say.
Is that possible, Cindy?
I will do my best.
Okay. Any discussion, Heather?
No, that's good. Thank you. Dean or Dan had very good. Yeah, I would like to have a little bit more advance notice as well. He's right. You can't make an educated decision in 5 minutes.
Okay.
That's all.
Dean?
Well, I just echo that comment. I've always supported and I'll continue to support early access to information, maybe even when we get to make these decisions. So I appreciate those comments. Thank you.
Okay, so I need a vote on the approval to hold this closed portion of the meeting on January 26th. So Sandy, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Dan, yes or no?
Yes.
Heather, yes or no?
Yes.
And Dean, yes or no? And I'll vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
Councillor Maxwell, what did you vote?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
Councillor Grant, excuse me, pardon me.
Yes.
Audio must not be fantastic. I vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I voted yes. Okay. So next item here is P. It's Ontario budget year end from Impact. Okay, I don't know if anybody's got anything to offer on that one. I looked through it, but it looks like it's probably a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Anything in there that anybody wants to discuss? Sandy?
No,
No?
I don't have highlighted here for newsletters.
The Impact Post Ontario Budget Webinar.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was educational, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have nothing to say. No.
Okay. Dan?
No comment. No, nothing to add.
Heather?
No, no.
And Dean?
Nothing to add on that.
Okay. The next one is from Municipal World podcast. It was basically educational as well. Anything there that anybody wants to discuss? Heather? No. Let's go to
No,
Sandy.
no.
No.
Dan?
No.
Heather?
No.
And Dean?
No, but I'd like just to take a quick opportunity to have to leave the table for 2 minutes. But we can, Mayor, you can make a judgment call if you continue to proceed, but I have to take a small break.
Okay, well, let's take, we're about 7 minutes after 10, so let's take a 5-minute break, okay? And so that'll bring us back here at 12 minutes after, all right? Thank you. Okay, looks like everybody's back. Right? I see Heather, I see Dan, I see Sandy, and I see Dean. And I see Cindy. Okay, so we're back. So the next items here we got are information letters. Are there any information letters that anybody would like to bring up or discuss? Sandy?
I had made note of the wildlife damage program. I think that was more of an informational letter though, wasn't it? Rather than, oh, well, yes, it was an informational, but I don't think it was anything to support. The Kingsville closure of small businesses. I don't know if anybody would want to support that. And my question was, there was a information letter in there about insurance renewals. And there was a lot of people that were upset about how high did that affect us in any way? I don't know if Cindy could answer that question. But otherwise, no, that was it. I would pull them up, but my iPad is not pulling. That's the one thing about not having the letters in the package, is not having them right there. Yeah, I see you smiling, Dean. I didn't know my iPad was not going to work.
Do you want me to read the insurance renewals, Sandy, for you? So, but
well, I don't. Yeah, there's a lot to read, so don't read it all. I just know that.
I'll just give it a synopsis, I guess. But so basically, Sandy's referring to L, and they gave a little description of the increases and insurance payments. So everybody, so Black River Matheson has experienced 152% insurance premium increase. So they did a poll of neighboring townships and cities, and they're going anywhere between 10 and 45% as a norm. So I think we need to support this, because we can't budget for that kind of increase. I mean, even large municipalities, Black River Matheson, they're bigger than ours, but how can they have 152% increase without any notice? So I know they said they were preparing for it, but they just want the government to do some legislation to say that that's not allowed. So I think Sandy wanted to know if Cindy knows that how much of an increase that we're going to experience this year. Is that right, Sandy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Damn iPad.
Mayor Pennell, would you like me to respond?
Yes, please.
So I have requested what our increase would be, if any. I'm assuming there'll be an increase, back in December. They did not have the information for me at that point. I said I would like it in January then. I want it before January 31st. Because last year we received it almost at the end of February, and that's when our renewal date is February 28th. And actually we were 2 weeks, late getting back the acceptance of the renewal to them because they provided it on the 28th and we didn't have a council meeting until 2 weeks later. So this year I've made the request that we have the information by January 31st, and our insurance broker will do his best to provide that information to us. But at this point, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to the question whether we have an increase or not. Based on what we're seeing with everybody else, I'm assuming we're going to be. The only thing that our insurance broker did say is that he will do his best to make it as competitive as he possibly can.
That one isn't really asking us to support anything, but
It's valid
an
though.
agreement. It is high. And we don't really know what ours is going to be yet.
Dean had his hand up.
I think I'm gonna bring it up in old and new business because I feel like I'm getting a little off track. So,
Okay. Well, Dan, do you have anything in the informational letters that you would like to bring up?
No, I'll pass.
Heather?
Number R, the Solicitor General has extended our deadline for our community safety and well-being plan. So now it's July 1st, which is good because we're not done it. But I wonder if that gives us an opportunity to maybe hire somebody else, because we kind of were pigeonholed into hiring that one person because we had time constraints. I don't know if you can answer that, Sandy.
Cindy?
I can't answer that question. You would Cindy?
The best that we can do is bring it up at the meeting that we're having in February, at the beginning of February, to make that suggestion to the committee. We can't make that decision on behalf of the committee, unfortunately. So
No.
all we can do is make the suggestion, and you're right, it's a valid suggestion.
Yeah. The
Okay,
letter
and then-
from, I don't know who that person was that told us what they had done that. It was from Mattawa. Basically, one of the comments in her letter, which wasn't appropriate, was that if you don't like what I did, you can always do it yourself, right? So we really don't want to go down that road, but bringing your idea forth, it would be probably a good idea to see if we can get it done cheaper, right?
And then the only other
anything
letter
else?
that I had, letter U, the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries, the Summer Experience Program. So the deadline to apply for this grant is now so Wednesday, I know this is short term, see, that's the resolution that we passed, but Wednesday, January 20th at 5 is to apply for the 2021 Summer Experience Program. It's to basically hire could you hire somebody for heritage, sport, and recreation? So I don't know if we can apply for that.
I read through it. Didn't seem like we qualified for it, but I'm not sure. Anybody else read through that and their interpretation? Sandy?
I didn't think we would qualify. I bet that was, Cindy, do you think we would qualify for that?
In the past, we have not, because we don't necessarily have a position that would meet the qualifications. We could make a position if that's what council would like to do. Like, it's sort of, we would have to have some kind of recreation program for a student to run. And at the moment, we don't have anything like that.
So remember I brought that idea up that we could use perhaps a co-op student or something to run a summer play day opportunity at the park, like a Playmobil or just an activity for our municipality, for our kids during the day. I know that we had great success in a city that I lived in, where we just had games and arts and crafts and just activities for the kids during the summer. And I think if we created an opportunity like that, because I could see us going that way, and then they would pay for that, and that would be a win-win. I just thought, oh, this is how I can pay for the idea. I know we don't have time to plan for anything like January 20th. But if we had a summer fun program, yeah. That's all.
Me.
Dean, is there any letters that you want to discuss?
Yeah, I just want to touch on what Heather's talking about really quick. I think that obviously right now with everything that's happening with COVID, who knows where that's going in terms of a recreation person to do events and whatnot. But I will say, I think that that's something that we could maybe put into strategic planning, just so that it's something that we could just continue to work on, like next year, if the same grant comes up, and we have something in place, we can maybe take advantage next year. That's my only point, or in the future. So I do think it's a valid idea. So if I don't have any comments actually on the rest of the information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything in there that I need to discuss. So the next item on the agenda is the information letters available. And there's the annual drinking water report. Anything there that people wanted to talk about? Sandy?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Dan?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Heather?
No, that's good.
Dean?
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is old and new business. Sandy, do you have anything old or new?
No, I don't.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything old or new?
No, I don't.
Heather, anything old or new?
No, I don't.
And Dean, you said you might have something?
Yes, I do have something. I would like to just bring up the topic of municipal insurance. And there's some letters in there that were referring to it. And I thought now would be a little bit more appropriate time just to have a brief discussion. Just by the comments, city's comments, the clerk's comments about us not knowing what our insurance is. And in previous years, last year in particular, we received our quote, at the exact same time we were supposed to renew. I'm suggesting maybe this year we can try and be, I don't know if are we in a contract? I believe so we would be forced to renew regardless of the increase. That sounds like a great contract. I guess I'd like to be provided with that to see what that says. I guess that's where I'm going to go with this, because I was hoping we could be a little more proactive. But city, is that possible? Provided with that.
Sorry, provide what?
With that contract, like with that
it was a resolution that was passed. It's not necessarily a contract that we've well, there is a contract, but it's a resolution that was passed by council that said that we would renew with this particular company for 2 more years.
Okay. All right. I guess I'd like everyone to consider, if it's a resolution, the council has the power to work with that. We can change that. But, I guess we should just consider, how we approach this and maybe being proactive. Because,
Something that we should consider next year. Yes, I will be bringing it up to council in the fall, because it will be at the end of the 2-year period. So yes, it's something that we should consider this year for the renewal next year.
yeah, okay. Okay. I'll probably have some follow-up questions on that. I just want to see, how we would be committed, if it's just a resolution or if it's through an actual contract with them, because we'll see what their increase is, right? But I'd like to have that information.
Do you have anything older news, Cindy?
I just wanted to mention, I had sent out late in the day and this evening, that there was an announcement today, sorry, I'm losing track of days. Today, from the provincial government that we are now in another state of emergency, effective immediately, and then effective Thursday morning at 12:01 p.m. or a.m. That there's a stay home. I don't remember the exact wording, but stay home order. Late in the day today, they did post the document. It was similar to the document that had been posted for the lockdown on the 26th, but they've made some amendments to it, and I did send that all to council approximately 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm not exactly sure when I sent it, but there's a document there. So big changes of things are limits for outside are now reduced to 5. So they went from 25 before Christmas to 10 on December 26th, and we're now also going to have to change the signs at the rink to that only 5 people will be allowed on the rink at one time. The rink is still allowed to be open, so that's at least a good thing. They want as many people as possible to work at home. I just wanted council to be aware that things have changed ever so slightly, but they have changed. So it would be a good idea to have a look at that document. You can just skim it for the red parts. If you read the previous document, you just look for the red parts, and that's what's changed.
What I understood was that last week they said that we should stay at home, okay? And this week they're saying stay at home. And if you don't stay at home, be prepared to answer the question when the cop pulls you over and say, what are you doing? Where are you going? I also heard that, it was the Department of Labor, somebody was going to determine what services and what businesses were essential, okay? So somebody's working on that now as well. There was a lot of concern about big box stores and mom and pop shops, right? So that's the only difference. I was listening to Frances Jolina. She's an NDP person from Sudbury. She was talking about it on my way home on CBC. And that's the only changes she said there was. So that's all I have to offer on that. So next item on the agenda is number 10. It's account approval report. All right. So we have a resolution in front of us. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this? Mover, I'm going to ask for, who haven't I got here? How about Heather? Will you move this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And seconder, how about Dean? You second it? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a resolution moved by Heather, seconded by Dean, that the disbursement dated January 7th, 2021 in the amount of $23,727.86, and January 12th in the amount of $3,155.64, and it's for 2021 invoices, and $9,280.86 for 2020 invoices, be hereby authorized and passed for payment. Any discussion? Sandy?
No discussion.
Dan?
No discussion?
Heather?
No discussion.
And Dean?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote to have this resolution passed. Sandy, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Dan, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Olmsted, yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Grant, yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so this resolution is carried. No closed portion, no business arising. Any notice of motion? Sandy?
No.
Dan?
No.
Heather?
No.
Dean?
No.
Okay. So next item on the agenda is the adjournment. We're going to need a mover and a seconder for this one too. So Sandy, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Dan, can you second it?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a resolution moved by Sandy, seconded by Dan, that this regular meeting of the council be adjourned at 10:34 p.m. And that'll be it. Oh, no, I guess we got to get a vote on that one too. Sandy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
And Dean?
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried and the meeting is adjourned. With the changes in COVID, take care of yourself, guys. Wear your
You
mask.
too.
Thank you.
Wash your hands.
Always.
Talk to you in 2 weeks.
Not
Okay.
leaving the
Right.
house.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Right.
Right.
All right, Cindy.